talking about what we're going to talk about in the pre-show and not even actually rolling up into it. I actually have not shared this anywhere either. I should probably do that while we're getting started. But it is 6 Central. And welcome everybody to the Vomitorium. We're live. I'm your host as always, The Metal, and joining me is my co-host, Marsupial Gamer, who has coffee. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I wanted to go for a walk in the snow, but I woke up too late to do that before having to get ready. So I might do that sometime after the program is over.
I wanted to stream some Final Fantasy IV, but I fell asleep instead. Wasn't that nice? I'll leave this up here.
I need the right profile and retweet this. I actually should probably dump this on mine as well while we're getting started. I forgot to do that.
Yeah, I was gonna say you did put it out there on Twitter, or maybe
It auto does that on Twitter. I don't even think about it.
But I was waiting for you to do something on mine.
Yeah. I was busy looking for stuff to post about. Completely forgot.
Well, I guess I should bring up the stream so I can see chats.
Yeah, probably.
The Vomitorium 64.
Yeah.
Rumble Pack sold separately.
I could not avoid a N64 related title.
Yeah. We even have the Red Top expansion pack already pre-installed.
Yeah, because we were a later edition. Like, sure, you're paying like 20 extra bucks, but wouldn't you rather just get it off the top instead of having to hunt one down?
Yeah, definitely. I always found that hilarious that they required, I remember when that came out with that expansion pack, and I think it came with some of the games that required it, because I don't remember.
It came with Donkey Kong 64, which was the game that I know for a fact required it.
And Majora's Mask, as far as I know. I know it required it. I feel like, I don't remember having to buy it separately. I feel like it probably came with it.
Well, I think it's because I remember
installing
that. So I didn't need it. I think I remember that.
Yeah. I just found it
Perfect
interesting.
Dark, I think, was the other one that required it, because there's only like 3 games that required the RAM expansion.
Yeah, and a few of them apparently took advantage of it. I think maybe GoldenEye to some degree.
Yeah.
A few others. But yeah, did you say there were only 3 games that actually required it?
Yeah, I think there are only 3 games that required it for the game to play, but there was a lot of games that just ran way better with it. Yeah. Like, those 3 games, if you try to put the game in and turn it on without it, it like crashes or it starts glitching up and stuff like that.
I thought it just came up with an error that said this requires.
Maybe. I haven't tried it in all 3 games.
I think it does. At least with Donkey Kong 64 and Majora's Mask. Funny thing is, they found out later, much later, that Donkey Kong 64 doesn't technically require it. They were able to play it without it. The only problem is there is a bug, a memory leak in Donkey Kong 64. And essentially what the memory card expansion does is it prevents it from crashing as quickly.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
It allows the memory leak to go on for longer without crashing the game. That's pretty much all it's needed.
Yeah. Perfect Dark did require it. That was the 3rd one.
GMT says, how about the fan petition to get Don Cheadle to play Cara Dune? I might actually have to watch it if they do.
I still wouldn't watch it. I might watch like a super cut of it, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think I'm done. Yeah. I think I'm done with The Mandalorian. I was satisfied with the conclusion.
You know, I was done with The Mandalorian before it even started, so... Well, I wouldn't say that. I did watch like the first 4 episodes. I gave it a chance. but I couldn't go past that.
Oh, I watched it through, and I mean, the end of season 2 was a good ending, a good series ending, as far as I was concerned. It was like, oh, okay, that's how it ends. Cool, I'm good with that. I don't care about the rest. Plus, my Disney Plus subscription expires in 2 days.
Yeah, we're gonna be sailing the high seas after that.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say, as everybody knows, it is impossible to get that programming any other way. It's impossible. Can't be
possibly impossible. I've been known to do the impossible from time to time.
Indeed.
Yeah. You know what I think was the weirdest thing about the 64? It was one of the advantages, as opposed to, say, playing PlayStation at the time, was that you could save everything to the cartridge. You didn't need a memory pack. But then there were certain games that still required a memory pack despite that, like Quest 64 and stuff like that. And you actually had to have that extra additional pack inserted up the butt of the controller to be able to save your data.
Mm-hmm. Jimmy says, I watch some with my family, but it's not for me. But Don Cheadle, though.
This is a College Humor thing, did the Don Cheadle Captain Planet parody. That's a funny as fuck video. Just turns everyone into trees. He's like, don't call me again or I'll turn you into a fucking tree.
Yeah. Captain Planet's powers are...
odd?
I'm not very, very indistinct, inconclusive. I'm not exactly sure.
I don't remember him being able to just randomly create trees.
I don't think so.
Because Captain Planet was basically just Greenpeace Superman, right? Like, for the most part, his powers were just Superman powers and stuff like that.
Yeah, I feel like his powers were whatever they needed for any particular episode.
Yeah. Like, what's weird is, in some ways, I felt like the individual kids could do things Captain Planet couldn't. Because you'd think, oh, all 5 of the elements that make him, he'd still have control over them once he's Captain Planet. But then, like, you hardly ever see him manipulating fire or wind or earth or anything like that. He's just kind of, like, flying around and punching people and shooting energy blasts at them.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they needed him. They had the power of heart already.
Yeah. Also, the power of fire. Like, they literally could have just melted their enemies. It's like, oh, but good guys don't kill. Do you see these people constantly polluting? You're going to just keep letting them do that?
Yeah. What's funny is that show came out in 1990 when I was 13 years old, and even then I recognized it as total bullshit.
Yeah. I like the show, despite the fact that it's bullshit. There's some, like, redeemable, charming qualities about it, but everything's just so stupid. I think it's the theme song, though. The theme song is what really hooks you in. And the fact that one of the villains is played by Jeff Goldblum.
No, really?
Yeah, he, what was his name? Is the rat guy. He was like Verminous Scum or something like that. He had like dominion over rats, and his face kind of looked like a rat too.
Hey, rats are part of the planet.
Yeah.
Damn it.
They also spread plagues.
I just found it funny that the villain's sole purpose was to pollute, and I'm like, that's not what industry is for.
It's like, if anything, it's a byproduct that, as things have gotten more efficient, has been cutting down.
That's right. That the owners would prefer if it didn't happen, actually, but sometimes it's inevitable, depending on the product.
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker says punching is a pretty universal superpower. Indeed.
It also depends on the owner. Some just don't care about side effects, right? It varies from person to person. Nothing's a universal statement on anyone.
They're also cute and boggle.
The rats.
What is boggle when used as an adjective? I don't understand.
I don't know.
Theme
I
song
actually
wise,
never heard somebody use that as an adjective before.
TFG says theme song wise it's okay, but it's no Pawpaw Bears. Ogling rats are hilarious. I don't know. Is Pawpaw Bears a UK show? I've never heard of that.
I've never heard of it.
I've heard of Paw Patrol, but not Pawpaw Bear.
I think Captain Planet is such a horrible superhero, though. Like, he's supposed to be helping them clean the world up, but his kryptonite, his weakness, is pollution. So in many ways, the kids were more functional than him, because while the world was polluted around them, they could still use their powers. But if any, like, tiny bit of scum got on Captain Planet, he'd sink down like Superman shot with a kryptonite bullet.
Yeah, I don't remember that part, but yeah, if that is his weakness, that's kind of a problem, because that's like the only thing he fights against. He fights against that. That's like if they only called Superman when there was a Krypton pollution problem. Like,
and like,
I mean, a kryptonite.
Like a bizarro version of him, like a negative version that he fought that was literally made of pollution. It's like, how does he ever beat that guy?
That's a good question. Well, I mean, you know, Superman had what's his name, Metallo. I guess he wasn't really made of kryptonite, but he had kryptonite in him. So
yeah, Superman is actually a lot more inconsistent than Captain Planet in that regard, though. In many regards, because Superman's just had so many different writers across so many different runs. Where there's points where kryptonite's not even enough to really kill him. Right? Like in World's Finest, he's got like a shard of kryptonite that was shot into him, and Batman's trying to cut it out. But Superman just keeps healing around the kryptonite as Batman's trying to cut it out. Like, he's healing faster than he can die there.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been times where, like, somebody's brought kryptonite up to me, just kind of, like, punched it away. And then there's also been times where, like, almost no amount of kryptonite whatsoever has crippled him onto the ground. It's like, he's such an inconsistent superhero. And kryptonite's such a horrible weakness, too. All because they couldn't give him a real weakness.
I always found it funny, like, I think it was Super Friends that introduced, I mean, I assume maybe it was also in the comics, but I remember in Super Friends there were all the different variants of kryptonite.
Oh no, that was in the comics, and eventually they cut them away because they were really stupid.
Oh.
But they brought it back every so often, like Smallville introduced the red kryptonite and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm pretty sure it was Super Friends where they constantly had different variants, and the red kryptonite would always do something different.
Yeah.
It always had random effects.
At least it's not pink kryptonite turning Superman gay.
Yeah. And I guess blue kryptonite, he would heal him. It was kind of the good kryptonite. So it's funny. They kind of, I don't know if that was in their minds when they came up with all the different Lantern cores or what. But yeah, it's funny that the different colors. I feel like there was an episode where red kryptonite turned Superman into like a weakling, kind of a la Space Ace. Or he turns into Dexter or whatever.
A bunch of video game consumables, yeah.
Yeah.
It should be a
Well,
game
here's an interesting
where you're playing a normal person, like just a regular human, and Lex Luthor took over, and because there's just kryptonite littered everywhere, so Superman can't do anything. And the real way to beat the bad guys is you have to go around and clean up all the kryptonite so Superman can return to that area and defeat them. It'd be the lamest game ever, but you know what? Plenty of people would play it.
That's right.
It's a kryptonite
game.
game.
Especially if you never got to actually play as Superman. Like you clean up the area, and then and then
Yeah.
it didn't even show him. Like it showed your character going, "Whoa, look, there he goes! Wow,
Like
look,
a shadow
that's
flies
amazing."
right over your character looking up.
Yeah, yeah, kind of like that South Park episode where like, oh, that is the most amazing battle I've ever seen. It's astounding.
Yeah.
What I'm looking at.
It'd be great if you guys could see it.
Yeah. Wasn't that like Heaven versus Hell episode of South Park where they had the most epic battle in the world and it just shows the people watching it?
Yeah. I would totally make a game like that too, just to troll people. Because people would buy it. Plenty of people would buy it.
Yeah, it's like there was like a Universal theme park video game where half the video game was going around picking up trash.
Yeah.
This was an actual game.
Yeah, it could be a stealth game. Because there would still be like legitimate Superman bad guys in each city area that had taken over. So if you're a normal person, you would probably just die against most of them if you ever got caught.
Yeah, there you go.
But it'd have to be anticlimactic, like One Punch Man or something like that. Like you never really get to enjoy the victory yourself. You just aided Superman's ability to win.
Yeah. Be like Lester the Unlikely.
Yeah.
Constantly tripping over yourself. You can make Batman the one that has to clean it up. Imagine the Bat vacuum, says GMT.
No, we just make you play as Jimmy Olsen the whole time.
Yeah, really. The Adventures of Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah. The City Made.
Cool.
So, I prepped you on the topics that we could talk about. You might have some of your own too, because we were talking. Where do you want to start?
I found an interesting article with a journalist complaining about WandaVision.
Okay, we can start there.
So stupid. Yeah, I don't think it'll get us very far, but I just ran across this article that was complaining about WandaVision being released at midnight and saying, oh, you either have to stay up till midnight or, chance getting it spoiled for you the next day before you have a chance to watch it. That was the whole argument.
You could totally just not check the internet until you watch it in the morning.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, why do you have... Well, I mean, on the other hand, this is written, I think, unwittingly from the perspective of a journalist, a video game journalist who spends all their entire day on Twitter. I'm sure.
Journalism.
Yeah, I didn't have anything... I mean, I didn't watch the last episode until the end of the day on Friday, and I didn't have anything spoiled. I saw a few people said something like, "Oh, that episode was amazing," but like, I don't know. Maybe it's not popular enough for people to actually be talking about it.
I don't know. I don't really check most social media these days. Aside from like a few cool people on Facebook, my Facebook friends list has become complete shit with politics. Really bad takes too, and Twitter is Twitter, so I don't really go on that. It's Minds is kind of the only place I go, and nobody talks about this shit on Minds. I mean, us talking about it here and me posting the Vomitorium on Minds is the closest you ever see about this shit there. So like, I don't even see any talk about WandaVision at all. Since I don't check Facebook or Twitter.
I really don't see anything about it at all, and I do look at Twitter. I don't look at Facebook. But...
Yeah. I don't know. It's also a short show. Like, it doesn't even have its own opening theme. So if you skip past that really bad Marvel opening that they attach to everything these days, the Marvel Studios one, and then you cut off as soon as it hits the credits because it's got like 15 minutes of credits. you've got like what 25 to 28 minutes of show depending on the episode. Like even if you've got work in the morning, you just set your alarm appropriately, start getting ready, put it on, and you can watch it before you have to leave your house. Like, it's so easy to not get spoiled on that show. If it was like an hour long, maybe I'd understand that. It's like, okay, maybe you're not going to have enough time to watch it before you have to do anything, but it's like half an hour. I'd watch like 2 or 3 half-hour shows before going to school in the morning. Back, when I was still in high school.
I used to watch Captain Planet before school. Yeah, it's a dumb thing to write an entire article about. So I get over it. Either watch
complaining about spoilers at all is a dumb thing to write an article about. I'm like, yeah, a lot of people don't like spoilers. I'm not a fan of spoilers because I'm kind of like that adventure explorer attitude. So when I'm watching a show, that's the same for me wandering through the woods. I'm exploring this at the pace that the show's being presented to me. But, like, you can't blame other people for being into the stuff they're into. Just avoid social media. You don't need to be on it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I always find it rather annoying, actually, when I'm on, like, a Twitch streamers channel where they're like, first playthrough, no spoilers, no help. I'm like, so basically we are not allowed to interact with you. You've got like 100 people watching and we're not really allowed to interact. At least not about what you're doing.
Yeah, if there's like a conversation or something, you can participate in the conversation, but
about something else.
Yeah.
Like you basically can't have a conversation about what they're doing.
Or you have to be like mindful that you can only talk about the thing that is happening right now with no context to the future and anything that happened before it.
Yeah. I mean, last night, I'm not going to name any names, obviously, but I was watching someone play a game and I was that I'd played before, and they were looking for something, and I said something along the lines of, "Oh, I think you're close to it," and they were like, "Oh, that's a spoiler," or something. I was like, "What?" Okay. Like, sorry, I played this before. I know you're close. I didn't say anything other than you're close.
What if I hadn't played the game and I said, I think you're close just because I'd been paying attention to anything that was going on? And then they'd be well, I respond, I haven't played this game before. I don't actually know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, they didn't like kick me out or anything, but they were like, no spoilers.
Yeah, like, blind playthroughs are fun. And again, fuck you, Twitch. I don't care what you think about that word. Blind playthroughs are fun. But if you're gonna... Playing on Twitch is like the experience of playing on the couch, right? With your friends next to you and stuff. Except possibly on a much larger scale. You have to be prepared that unless you're playing a brand spanking new game that came out that week and nobody else has had a chance to play it yet, that if you're playing in a communal setting, that somebody's going to have information you don't have and might give it to you. Otherwise, turn the stream off and play it offline.
TNT says, if I ever stream a game, it will be Marbles on Stream. And I'll put no spoilers in the title. That's right. Yeah, I don't even understand. If you want to do a blind playthrough, do it by yourself, not on stream.
It would be rude as if you make a game, right? And you do a blind playthrough of the game, which is obviously not blind for you because you made it. It's blind for anybody watching, and you put no spoilers on the screen. But if it's not out yet for them to play, everything they watch is a spoiler.
I mean, I actually sometimes won't watch a live stream of a game because I don't want to be spoiled.
Same.
Like, I've already... I watched somebody play... I gotta get back to it, but I watched someone playing Dragon Quest XI, and there's some major surprises that I totally got spoiled on. I was like, damn it, I didn't want to know that, but oh well. It was my bad for watching the stream.
Yeah.
But
no, like I also have to I don't know. I have to keep in mind the feasibility or whatever of how long it will take me to play the game when I make that decision. If it's going to take me 2 years before I eventually play this game, I'll go and let it be spoiled to me. I'll experience it through somebody else. Just because I want to be able to talk about it to other people. I don't want them to feel bad about possibly spoiling something for me. It's like, if I just figure out what the game's about, then I can have conversation. If I think it's going to be a month before I get to play the game, I'll just be like, yo, whatever. I'll avoid all content on it. If somebody starts talking about it, it's like, hey, I know you are excited and want to talk about it. Can we talk about it in a month? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like at this point I'll probably not get back to Dragon Quest XI until I do a Dragon Quest 1 through 11.
Yeah.
Playthrough.
Like you're doing
So
with Final
probably
Fantasy.
do.
Yeah.
Right. Even though I already played 1 and about half of 2 on stream, but then I lost all my save games, so I gotta start all over. I'll tell you, Dragon Quest 1 is one game that I can do in one session.
Very short game, yeah. It's
Unlike
basically
Final
just a
Fantasy.
grinding game. That's all one is.
Exactly. And I know, I can tell you off the top of my head exactly everything that you have to do in that game. Unlike Final Fantasy, where I get a little fuzzy near the halfway point. I'm like, I'm not sure what to do next. But yeah, with Dragon Quest 1, I could tell you off the top of my head, you gotta do this, then this, then this, then this, then this. And
Yeah,
then
you just you progress all the way to the Earth Cave, and then you walk through a wall you're not supposed to, and you break the events, and then you end up in the sunken cave for some reason.
Is that in the original version?
Yeah, there's a lot of event-breaking stuff in the original Final Fantasy that you can... And I told you, the speedrunners do it in like 28 minutes.
Yeah. I like I love... I'm just astounded by it. The Dragon Quest. Not even like actual speedrun, not
like just a normal run.
I'm like, how the hell do they do that? Where they're like, command, 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 command. And they they walk through the swamp cave and they have to listen to the bonks against the wall. Like bonk, 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 like 3 times, and then I have to turn and then bonk 7 times. And then like, oh my God, how do you remember all that?
Well, funny thing is GMT said if I do a blind playthrough, I'll be wearing a blindfold. There's a lot of speedrunners that have memorized games so much that they can literally do it wearing a blindfold. And not just like a 2D game, where everything is just like an exact number of presses on a D-pad. No, there are people who beat Ocarina of Time and other 3D games wearing a blindfold because they just have everything so precise. I've seen somebody beat Super Mario 64 wearing a blindfold.
I was amazed at the people beating Mike Tyson's Punch-Out wearing a blindfold. Although that seems imminently doable, just because it's all very, very predictable.
Yeah, 2D games again though, especially the stuff where there was no chance of random movement. Everything had to be there are some cases where you have random movement, but for the most part, things were just procedural, right? You walk into this area, this enemy is going to start moving that way, and it's going to take this number of steps and stuff like that. Games where everything is just simply procedural like that, it's really easy for people to memorize and beat it blindfold because it's just trial and error over and over again.
If you want to, if anyone's interested in learning how speedrunners do their thing, Slackinator on Twitch is really, really good. I mean, he does basically step-by-step, what do they call it? Where they figure out routing, right? He does routing live. Like he was doing the other day, he was playing Double Dragon, and he was figuring out a new route, and he actually figured out a section where he could consistently get an Abobo to automatic despawn every time. So he could skip it and then defeat another one. And he was looking, he had the fastest in the world tool assisted speed run next to him, and in this one section, he beat the tool-assisted speedrun by figuring out a new route, a new way to, get the Abobo to despawn, and then he didn't have to fight it and all this stuff. Fascinating how he was figuring out, and he was explaining it step by step. You go over here, then you push down, and then you go over here, and then you kick, and then it disappears, and it's like, wow.
Well, you need people doing that too, because even these tool-assisted speedruns can't hit perfect times until there's somebody who figures out the route, right? So now that he has that, then they can fix the tool to be able to do the thing that he just did.
Yeah, exactly. But it's fascinating how they find it.
It's a fine category. It's just, I find it boring. I find it intriguing from a technical standpoint. I just find it boring because there's something about a human doing it with just the raw tools that they're given.
Oh yeah, I mean, as far as I mean, TAS is just for, figuring out theoretical fastest speed.
Well, that's what it should be for. But there are people who brag about their TAS speedruns and stuff like that. Like, is that really something to brag about?
Yeah, no, that's kind of dumb. I don't know that the major or the mainstream speedrun community thinks that way.
No, well, there's also always been a pretty heavy debate over TAS in general in the speedrun community. Some people are fine with it. Some people, they just don't care. Some people are offended by it. It varies from person to person.
Well, the people I watch look at it as a tool.
Yeah.
They're like, well, here's the, as far as we know, theoretical fastest speed possible. And sometimes even faster than what's really humanly possible, because sometimes it's things like the tool assisted tool can do things like push left and right at exactly the same time on a controller, and you actually can't physically do that.
Well, if you want to ever see something crazy, is watch Smash Brothers has some good mods for it, but like any fighting game with like a TAS AI put in for the characters that are fighting, and just watch two computers that can effectively break the game just play against each other.
Yeah.
It's almost like watching Dragon Ball Z, which is...
They're over 9,000. That's impossible. I've never watched a single episode of Dragon Ball Z, but I know that line.
It's over 9,000! 9,000? That can't be right.
Well, I was watching Sophia Narwitz play a Dragon Ball video game, and I found it fascinating. Like they were saying, like, oh, his power level is 400, and I'm like, what does that mean? What is the scale?
It doesn't. Right. So power level, quick tangent, actually doesn't scale to anything whatsoever in Dragon Ball, right? It just goes up. That's all it does, and it's not a 1-to-1 scale, right? So the difference between 1 and 2 is not the same as the difference between 2 and 3. Because it's a like curve.
Exponential.
Yeah. So, like, a farmer with a shotgun is like a power level of 5. And it's simply because he's got like a shotgun.
Yeah.
While by the time that you've got a power level of like 100, you can destroy a planet. Or at least a small one, like the size of the moon. And then it just gets crazier and crazier from there.
Basically just someone with a power level of 500 is more powerful than someone with 400.
Yeah, that's pretty much all it stands for. It's just like to show you, it's like, this guy is stronger than that guy. But then that doesn't always matter, because power level is actually just a measurement of ki, or like chi, like your internal energy and stuff like that. And you can focus your ki, and you can even use moves where the move, because it's concentrated ki, is a higher power level than the person who used it. Yeah. So it's like, it's really just there to try to create tension for the audience, because, it's made for 10 to 15-year-old boys. And you're like, oh my god, that guy is so much tougher than that guy. And then you watch Goku train up and he can beat the guy eventually. It's just there as a metric to set a placement of, look at Frieza, he's got a power level of 1,000,000.
Well, it's just like in One Punch Man where he can do a semi-serious punch, a super serious punch, Yeah, his power level may be 50 trillion, but
Yeah.
he doesn't have to
One serious
use full power.
punch.
That's right.
It's all he needs.
Series of parallel punches.
Yes, that does escalate quickly. Farmer with shotgun 5. Guy who destroys the moon 100.
Still haven't seen a single episode.
Yeah.
But
no, it was the best. Well, it used to be the best way to enjoy it. The series got pretty bad after a while because it became too self-referential. But Team 4 Stars Dragon Ball Z Abridged used to be a really good way for like people who weren't into Dragon Ball Z to kind of get the gist of the story of Dragon Ball Z. But it starts with Z. You don't even get the original Dragon Ball before they changed the name of the show. Because the comic up until Super was always Dragon Ball.
Yeah. On the other hand, if you want to get the gist of Pokemon, watch one episode.
Don't watch
episode.
any episode of Pokemon. That's actually my my advice. Because you will not have a very good image of Pokemon, as far as I can say. Because the anime is almost nothing like the games, and it's sad that that's what a lot of people's image of Pokemon is. I would say, even if you don't have the time to play the games, go and just watch the 4-episode miniseries, so it takes like 2 hours to watch it, of Pokemon Origins, and it just does the story of the first game for you in a pretty well-animated and well-narrated pace.
Is it Star Red?
Yeah. Pokemon Origins starts red.
Oh, interesting.
And then there's like this short series called Pokemon Generations on YouTube that you can still watch for free. And they're between like 5 to 15-minute episodes of events that happen throughout the different generations of Pokemon. So when you see a trainer, it is the actual trainer from that game. It's a good series. I wish the whole anime was like that.
Well, I like the anime. It may be different from the game, but it's kind of cool.
I used to like
way.
the anime when it first came out. And then it just got worse and worse as time went on. And it's because, actually, one of my own complaints about that I just made for Dragon Ball Z Abridged, it becomes too self-referential, right? Because the anime becomes a completely different, like, universe of Pokemon than the games do. So things function drastically different in the anime than they do in the games, despite the fact that they keep bringing in content from the games. So it's like, it's really uncanny and disorienting if you're somebody who plays the games too. Like, one of the weird things is most Pokemon don't ever say their name in the games. That's not something that happens. You have, like, Pikachu will do it. And a couple will. Pokemon are like animals, so they make cries, right? They make sounds like animals do. But it's like...
No. I think it's an interesting addition to the anime. That doesn't bother me. I do understand that it's different from the games.
Yeah.
Doesn't bother me.
That, and I'm starting to hate Ash. That's the real thing. I'm just starting to hate Ash. Right? So even in its different continuity, it's kind of just become the legend of Ash. And he's like perpetually 10 years old. Despite the fact that, like, they celebrated his 1-year anniversary at one point in time early on in the show, but he's still just 10 years old. And it's constantly him, and they take some character from the actual game, like usually a girl, so they'll have like May or Dawn or Serena, and they sideline them as a secondary character, even though they're supposed to be one of the primary characters of this series, just so Ash is still the main character.
Yeah.
And Ash should have just moved on. He should have been champion, but It took him like what 20 years before they actually let him win a Pokemon League. They've actually made him a pretty shitty trainer. He has never filled out a Pokedex. It took him like 20 years to have enough Pokemon to fill out the original Pokedex, but he still hasn't filled it, and to even win a Pokemon League.
Yeah.
He has some like good arcs because he's a character that loses and overcomes things, but he's just like a really shitty trainer that never evolves.
Yeah, that's the problem with having to have a character for 20, 30 years. It's like you can't have him evolve too much because
he has to still be
you're going to run out of story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he has to kind of stay a bit of an idiot and
he's actually dumber than he used to be.
Yeah.
And he's got like this weird thing.
Because he always has to make mistakes.
He turns everybody else around him into an idiot too. Over time. Like Brock actually used to be a semi-intelligent person. He was like the oldest person in the team. I think he was supposed to be like 16. As opposed to like Ash, he was supposed to be 10 or 11. Misty was supposed to be like 12 or 13. So Brock's the older person on the team. And over the course of time, he goes from being the rational guy who's prepared for anything to being just as big, if not a bigger idiot than Ash throughout the years of journeying with him. Mm-hmm. He's like, well, he's the older one. Why is he so stupid? And it does that to everyone. Everyone who travels with him. It's like, Misty, you got out at the right time.
Yeah. Yeah, Ash is the Twitter of Pokemon. He makes everyone stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, Pokemon has fallen down the Ash hole. Yeah. So people are trying to excuse it too. He didn't recognize what a Charmander was in an episode. Mm-hmm. Right? And they're like, no, he was just trying to teach the new person how to use a Pokedex. That's not how the scene came off, though. It seemed like he didn't know what a Charmander was.
Is that a recent episode?
It was, like 2 seasons ago or something like that. It's like, I don't know, let's see. Now, if Ash was a professor, like an older person accompanying, it was black and white, accompanying the new trainer, and he says, I don't know what C, you would assume that of course he knows what it is, he's just trying to teach him to use a Pokedex. But this 10-year-old, who, one of the very first Pokemon he got was a Charmander, who has relied on a Charizard for so many years, doesn't know what a Charmander is, just so that they can have an excuse in series to show off the Pokedex being used for the first time in that season. Yeah, I actually kind of find that offensive too. Yeah.
GMT says, yeah, I was already at maximum stupid before I ever knew what Twitter was. Yeah, if you actually lived and breathed Pokemon in real life every day of your life for 30 years, you'd be pretty fucking awesome at it. Yeah. Right?
Well, that's actually the story of the first game, right? And all of them. Mm-hmm. To be a Pokemon master has a very specific meaning. It's somebody who basically has a master's degree of research in Pokemon. That's filling out the Pokedex. The Pokedex didn't already have the information in there and it told you the Pokemon. You were filling it out, and that's why all the descriptions, some of them are pretty bad. I don't think that there's actually a Pokemon that's hotter than the sun. I think this is a 10-year-old who's filling out this information for the first time. And he's like, man, this thing is giving off a lot of heat. It's hotter than the sun. Right? The 10-year-old doesn't know how hot the sun is.
Yeah.
But that's what you're supposed to be doing. You're going around, you're finding all the Pokemon in that region, filling out this document, this index. And after you fill out the whole thing, you are rewarded. A screen pops up in the game with a certificate that says you're a Pokemon master. You literally get a master's degree in Pokemon. That's what the game is about. Let's be honest, Ash is only really good at walking between towns.
His only real skill is made obsolete by a bus.
Well, he's really good at accidentally thwarting criminals.
He's kind of the Harry Potter of Pokemon, right?
Yeah,
He just kind of stumbles into success just through luck.
Yeah, it's not like Red, who Red kind of casually stumbles upon an underground crime ring and then actively goes after them and busts this entire underground crime ring at like the age of 11. Yeah. Like, you know, props to Red.
Yeah. Good on you, man.
This is why, and I've said this before, I really like Detective Pikachu. Because Detective Pikachu isn't based off of the anime, right? Detective Pikachu is based off of the game world of Pokemon, in which Pokemon cards are canon to Pokemon. Prior to them putting them in Detective Pikachu, there is actually a Pokemon trading card game for the Game Boy Advance that takes place, or not Game Boy Advance, but Game Boy Color, that takes place in the Pokemon world. So they already established that Pokemon trading cards exist in Pokemon, and why wouldn't they? If the whole world is revolving around Pokemon, you'd expect them to have stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, like in Detective Pikachu, he's flipping open a book when he's going through his room for the first time, and there's like Pokemon cards, there's posters about the Pokemon League and stuff, and you could tell the kid used to be very obsessed with Pokemon when he was young. He wanting to join the league himself. And the whole movie takes place in the world of Pokemon. It is great. Pokemon make cries and sounds and stuff like you expect them to. The only one who actually talks is Detective Pikachu, which I'm not going to spoil why he talks to the kid. You can watch the movie for that. But it's great. There's even like larger than life characters in that you would expect to be in that like type of setting. Like, the main character is pretty normal, but then he meets this girl who totally walks out like she's from an anime or a video game or something like that. Who's like trying to solve the big problem going on in the movie. It's great. I recommend everybody watch Detective Pikachu. I have no idea how we got onto this topic.
I don't know either.
Something about Dragon Ball, I think, got us here.
Yeah, I think because I mentioned it.
Yeah.
Because I mentioned how in Dragon Ball you kind of have to watch a lot or watch some sort of recap or something to know what the hell's going on. And Pokemon, you just have to really watch one episode and you'll figure out pretty much, you know. Okay, I get it.
This is
nothing. Yeah, there's no overarching story, really. It's just this over and over again.
Yeah. Which, the original season, Pokemon Adventures, the first one, the Kanto League, Indigo League, whatever you want to call it, actually had several 2 to 3 part episodes where if you did not catch the first episode in it, you would be kind of lost as to what's going on. And they started like, toning that down over time. Especially like Sabrina, when he goes after the psychic trainer in Saffron City for the first time. That's like a 3-part episode where he loses, then he goes out to this like haunted place and he gets a ghost Pokemon like a Gengar, and then he comes back and faces her again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And pulled the thread and it kept going. Yeah, that happens. You know,
well, anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. What are we getting to? We've got stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else you wanted to hit up before I start going through this list, or?
No, I mean, I think we'll get to the things I wanted to talk about because I think I know what's on at least some of the things on your list. So
yeah, we went over pretty much.
Go ahead.
The list. Okay, so we've heard more information about G4 because you know we talked about before. G4 is coming back. I used to be a pretty big fan of G4, and you know then shit happened. I don't know why G4 is coming back. I don't know why you want to do anything in the format of TV these days. I feel like TV is just a dying art and in many ways good riddance.
Now, is G4 going to come back on TV, or is it going to be like a web show?
I think they're mostly doing everything on the web, but from what I've seen, the formatting is still like TV shows and stuff. Like, if they're doing things live on Twitch, they're going to do like a live stream of the premiere of an episode, and they'll use like the YouTube premiere feature and stuff. You can actually go to youtube.com/xplay right now. They already have stuff set up for some of these things. And it's like, I think they're doing internet, but they're treating the internet like it's TV.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine if you want to do high production values, but are they going to like have segments and then flip to somebody else and then flip to something, like the way the TV?
I have no clue, man. We're still in the early phases of them breaking this stuff out. And it'd be fine if like you had your once a week high produced show, but in the meantime, you got to do like some smaller production things, right? Because the whole thing about the internet is constantly having content coming out.
Yeah. And I wonder if what was that guy's name? Is Chris Pirillo, was he involved in G4? Do you remember Chris Pirillo?
Yeah, I've actually met Chris Pirillo. I think he was involved in Tech TV early on. I don't think he was ever involved after the G4 stuff.
Yeah, and he did like the what was it called? Geek something. I'm
trying to remember.
I don't know. Well, see, the reason I ask is because I'm still involved in the Intel Innovator program, and Chris Pirillo now works for Intel.
Yeah.
So I've actually, I could ask him actually. I've had conversations with him about work. Not actually had conversations with him about that, about his celebrity career or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
But I'm actually in a Discord. I wonder if he's going to be involved. In fact, he's going to be live on Twitch tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific. So anyway, he was one of my favorites, but I didn't remember what show he was actually.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember too. Especially because like most of my interaction with him was back when Google Plus was blowing up, or trying to blow up. Both him and I had some decent followings on there, and I was in a couple of those the early forms of Google Hangouts with him, where you couldn't live stream directly from it, but they made it easy to capture the live stream, so you would just like pull a bunch of people from your circles into a hangout.
Yeah,
and it was really, really different looking than it did once we, the YouTube Hangout Studio and stuff like that came.
Yeah.
Let's see. But we do know what they're bringing back, right? And we know for a fact they're bringing back
Morgan
X-Play.
Webb is not one of them.
Yeah, Morgan Webb is not one of them. They're bringing back X-Play, and they're bringing back Attack of the Show for sure. We know X-Play is still gonna kinda-ish be like the X-Play format, but also not. It's gonna be just more Adam Sessler and Sessler's soapbox, as far as I know. He even personally brought up Sessler's soapbox as a segment that's gonna happen. And there's a preview episode up right now, so it's gonna be him in front of his webcam doing his stuff. And they did like a tier list too. He brought in like a Twitch streamer as a guest, so I guess that's what he's gonna do. He's gonna bring in other people as guests, and they did like a rant type thing where they were breaking down baking projects that people had posted to the internet that had to do with video games over the lockdown and stuff. And it seemed really boring. I couldn't watch through the whole thing. I don't know if that's going to be the whole show, if there's actually going to be more segments put into it or not. I really don't know what the idea is there with having just Adam Sessler hosting X-Play by himself. But Morgan Webb, like I said, she has been involved with... what was the name of the place again? Bonfire Studios since 2017, the game developer. So, like, if you were part of a dev group that was actually making money in projects regularly and didn't have to worry about income, and you wanted to be a developer back in the day, would you ever go back to just doing X-Play? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of an interesting thing. I am skeptical that they're going to be particularly successful.
I am too. Like I said, they're going to have Xavier Woods do a show. If people know who that is, I think New Day? He was part of the New Day group in wrestling. And it's he's got his own YouTube channel that he does stuff with. I think that's the Up Up Down Down channel, I think. Which is kind of interesting. I've watched a few of it. Like, if you just want to see wrestlers not wrestle and play video games, I guess it's kind of cool because they still try to stay in their personalities and stuff. Since I believe it's kind of sponsored by the WWE and stuff like that. So it's not like they're breaking character or anything. Though I say that they're their own names. They get introduced by their actual name, but they still act like the way you expect them to act. It's confusing. I don't get the whole world around wrestling and like what these people are and aren't allowed to do in different segments. It's like a subculture / economic system of its own, and I only kind of get some of it from the outside. It was never my thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm as skeptical, if not more, as you are about how successful this will be. Especially, we don't even know what Attack of the Show is going to be like. They just said, and Kevin Pereira's coming back to host Attack of the Show. No preview yet, no information, like... Is it going to be the same show? Of the shows, I can see that the one working the best in a web format because it's kind of just like a highly produced podcast in many ways, but...
Yeah. I'm not sure I actually even ever watched Attack of the Show.
Attack of the Show was pretty fun. Kevin Pereira was the host. At one point in time, Olivia Munn was his co-host before she went to Hollywood. And it was just like a news show, but it was like a really untamed news show, like the type of stuff you would see on the internet now. And they would just be standing there on a stage with like a screen between them that would show the stuff that they were talking about. They would do gags and bits in between. And there was also a bunch of things like Chris Gore would what was it called, DVD Tuesday? That was because DVDs were a big thing at the time, and he would just go over like what DVD came out that week, if there's like some classic that hit DVD or something you really need to check out. There was a bunch of just different segments on it. I thought it was a good show, and I could see something like that being successful if they brought it back exactly the way it was, because you could just live stream that as it's happening very easily. I don't know about some of these other shows though.
Yeah. I'm not particularly excited about it.
Yeah. I'll give them a chance. I'll see, but
yeah, I mean, I might have been excited about it 10 or 15 years ago, but now there's so much awesome content like that and probably better.
Yeah, on YouTube, so much stuff that they're just like, we love G4. Let's make content like it, but in our own way. And then people have added so much personality and character to the stuff that they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. It's like there's already better shows out there. At least better than what they had originally. Yeah. So I don't know how they're going to make this one even better.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or more interesting, or if they're just going to totally rely on celebrity status, which doesn't really fly anymore.
It doesn't, especially on the internet, right? Like, if it was the
Yeah.
TV crowd. But the internet doesn't
Unless
give a
you're
shit
Morgan
about
Webb.
your celebrity.
Yeah. Unless you're Morgan Webb.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you do realize that like nobody gives a shit that you're a celebrity, right?
Yeah. TV
Like
is
I
dead.
never really put a lot of stock into that stuff and never really got starry-eyed over any celebrity, but
Same.
now more than ever, it's like I could talk. I'm not impressed by anyone. It's like, I could talk to somebody who's like some big star, and it's like they're just a guy or it's just a person. It's like,
Yeah. Well, especially
I'm
because
not
it
impressed.
depends on
And-
who your celebrities are, right? Because
Mhm.
I mean, I watch things on TV. I never used a TV star as a role model in my life for like anything, with maybe a couple exceptions because I knew that they did stuff outside of TV. But unless you want to be an actor yourself, why would a TV star or a movie star be a role model? You want to look at things into careers that interest you. So there was always like a bunch of video game devs because at one point I wanted to be a video game developer. Still kind of do in some degree. We could work on stuff in the future. But there was like a bunch of different like people that I looked up to in career paths that I wanted. And even then, like before the whole Mighty Number 9 thing happened, I met Keiji Inafune at SGC, and what short interaction we had, because his English isn't very good at all and my Japanese isn't very good, but we did exchange a few words. It was just like talking to another person, despite the fact that this is one of the guys that made Mega Man exist in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I met Richard Garriott for the first time like 5 years ago. And probably a little bit starstruck at first, but then he was just kind of a guy and a little bit less impressive than I was expecting. So
Yeah.
I don't know what I was expecting.
Or another dude, because video production is something I was always interested in too. I met a guy that you like too, James Rolfe, a couple times at SGC, and it was just normal conversation. It's whatever.
Yeah, well, I feel like the internet really has caused that. Like, I've got on to a Mike Matei live stream, and virtually, it wasn't like a full-on conversation, but like he's read my chats, I've responded, he's responded back, and it was just like, okay, it's just a guy.
Yeah. I actually had passing words with Adam Sessler at SGC. And he recognized me when I said, "Oh yeah, I'm the Batman catheter guy." It's like, I remember that conversation. that was like the whole interaction with just those passing words.
Yeah. But certainly, yeah, that don't impress me much. Apparently I'm Shania Twain. But yeah, it's just no. But I like certain celebrities that are semi-celebrity people like James Rolfe or Mike Matei or Richard Garriott. But I think the point is
they're people.
They're bringing back G4 or whatever, and they better do a good job and not just rely on, hey, remember G4?
Yeah, they need quality content.
Like, yeah, I remember it when it was a big deal. It's not anymore. Like, you better impress me.
Yeah, because, when G4 was first coming out of Tech TV, that was still before video really blew up on the internet. Right? Like, we were getting stuff, but it wasn't like this huge thing. This was prior to Google buying YouTube out. Right? And then even as it's dying, YouTube is blowing up even bigger, and this is one of the reasons why it's dying, and Twitch streaming is becoming a big thing at that time. Let's say you're at least trying to adapt to the competition that killed you by getting onto it. But we need to see if you're actually adapting to the new system or not,
Yeah.
If I ever meet Brendel Floss again, there's a Buck saying this, I want to ask him if anyone else asked him to sign a Mr. Clean product after I did. Yeah, so when we were at SGC, he wanted to get Brendel Floss to sign something for him. And in a JonTron video, he had played Mr. Clean. So he brought a like Mr. Clean like window or just like, you know, the spray bottle to have him sign. And nobody else had done that before. I guess it's funny. He's just kind of hung up on it. He also had Andre Meadows, the black nerd, sign a Pringles can at one point. And Andre ate the Pringles in. It's like, wait, are there actual Pringles in the can? But yeah, that was the thing is, too, I think going to conventions a lot, especially the type that I went to, kind of also kill your starstruck. Like, symptoms, because the Screwtack Gaming Convention wasn't like Comic-Con, where there's, like, necessarily these long lines, but there could be for a panel or a signing. But people weren't, like, behind booths the entire time. There was, like, an arcade, and you would get, like, the guests in the arcade playing games with people and just having conversations and stuff like that. Because, you know, they're just regular people, despite the fact that they have, like, millions of subscribers and stuff. I've played Turtles in Time with Andre Meadows, the Black Nerd, from Black Nerd Comedy.
Okay, this is for GMT. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
There's Shania Twain leopard skin cat.
I was having a casual conversation with JonTron and Smooth McGroove one year. Like, we were just talking, you know, it's like, they're people. They're all just people, you know? You treat them like they're people, they'll treat you like you're people. A lot of these people, too, like, so, there might be a little bit of a difference with a person like Adam Sessler. I don't know how he sees himself. But a lot of people who came off of TV do sometimes have, like, an air of superiority to themselves. Like, you know, I've actually been on TV, right? But a lot of these internet producers, a lot of times they don't even get it that they're famous, that a lot of people know. Like, they see the subscriber count go up, but they don't put two and two together. Like, it doesn't click in their head. They think they're just still a person making videos on the internet.
Yeah. Which is good.
Yeah. It's humbling, you know. It's like... It's not this weird... in some cases, the celebrity culture follows them anyway, but it's not like this kind of, like, Hollywood-induced celebrity culture that we've had for most of... what's it called? My question is, why would you want to have a conversation with them? Like, what would you talk about?
Well, who?
Yeah, are you talking about the two people that I was having a conversation with? JonTron and Smooth McGroove? Actually, we were talking about ScrewAttack.com. But both of those people, before they became popular in their own right, they originally posted their videos to ScrewAttack.com. That's where they blew up, and that's, you know, why they were at the convention too. And we were also talking about music, because both of them were interested in... Smooth McGroove is a singer, and, you know, John, despite not being a musician, is known for singing. Any E-celeb, whatever. It's like, I don't know, you're at a convention, you're just having fun with people.
Yeah.
With Andre, we were literally talking about the game we were playing. Sometimes you don't even plan it, too, right? It's not like you walk up to the person looking for a conversation. I didn't really exchange any words with him, but I played Soul Calibur against Takahata 101 from Team 4-Star. And I kicked his ass, too, because I'm really good at Soul Calibur. But it's not like I went up to play him in Soul Calibur. I was already at the machine, and I had taken, like, 10 names before him. Soul Calibur 2, specifically. That's the one I'm the best at.
And I'd want to talk to Shania Twain because of the catsuit. Probably. I'd want to talk about the leopard print catsuit. Anyway,
Yeah.
what's next on your list? I have a few things, but
We can go back and forth. What do you got?
well, did you want to go into the? I feel like we should have an official. We should have like a little intro video to the sort of pick. I don't know what you call it. Sale video game picks of the week.
Yeah, well, we could make some title cards eventually. I may not have enough RAM on my computer currently to stream Red Dead Redemption because, man, that game is heavy. But I've got more than enough RAM to have several scenes set up for OBS.
Okay. I just upgraded my computer from 8 to 32 gigs.
Oh, yeah,
so.
I'm thinking of adding more. I did not realize how heavy Red Dead Redemption Online was.
Yeah, it's funny. I whenever I get like a computer that I can upgrade, I hunt for the biggest bottleneck, and for the longest time it was my hard drive. But as soon as I got a solid state drive, I was like, you know what? Now the memory's a problem. I need to get more memory.
Yoshimitsu. Yeah, I like Yoshimitsu. He's fun. I can play any character in Soul Calibur. Like, you just hand me. I used to piss my brother off because I was beating him for a while, like, just straight, and he thought I was picking characters to counter him or whatever. I was just rotating through the list. I'm like, fine, you know what? You pick your character, I'm just gonna hit random, and we'll play. And it randomed into my main, with Siegfried in that game we were playing for. And he just got up and walked away. He just put the controller down.
Yeah, that's interesting. Buck forces 100% of your CPU usage. I assume you're talking about Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
That's odd because I've found it very difficult to peg my CPU, and it's not that wonderful. But like most well optimized games are handled by the GPU almost,
Oh, well, it's not a well-optimized game.
I guess not.
I could tell you real quick before we start talking about the sales and stuff, right? So, I was playing Red Dead, just offline. I'm trying to save up that I can start my own posse, like a permanent one. Mostly because I don't want to have to rely on Rick. You've probably seen us play with Rick. It's not pretty. But I don't want to rely on Rick and stuff like that. So I'm at the butcher. I'm selling the meat that I just hunted. And as soon as I put the window down, my pocket explodes. Just like violently, like dynamite went off. Nobody's around. Like, I'm looking at the mini-map. There's not even a blue dot for a non-hostile player. There's nobody around. I just explode. Then when I respawn, I explode consistently out of the pocket like 5 times until I'm dead. And it did that after the first respawn. The next 3 times I respawn too, so 4 times in a row. So I died from explosions 5 times before it stopped. That is not an optimized game at all. Like, that had to have been caused by a glitch. There's no reason, even if I was killed by an explosion the first time, I should still keep exploding several times after respawning.
Why were you exploding at all?
I don't know!
That's really strange.
That's Red Dead Redemption Online for you.
Weird.
Yeah. So, sales. Let's go.
Yeah, well, my top pick this week, which it's only a top pick because I know it's a popular game. I've not played it, so I don't even know how good or bad it is. But right now, Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is on sale for 80% off on both Steam and GOG. So if you're interested in the Witcher series, the regular Witcher 3 is $8, and the Game of the Year edition, which I don't know what else it comes with, is on sale only for the next 16 hours for $10.
Game of the
off.
Year edition comes with all the DLC added to it.
Okay, there you go. So Witcher 3, which I think is the latest one, right?
Yep.
And all the DLC, $10 on Steam and GOG.
Pretty much just what Game of the Year edition means these days. Unless they add something to it way later after it comes out. But if you see Game of the Year edition, it kind of just means it has any downloadable content included in it.
Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah,
Which is not the case for Borderlands 2. Because they added a DLC to Borderlands 2 like 7 years after the game came out.
Well, this is a 2015 game, and I guess it got Game of the Year award or multiple Game of the Year awards back in 2015.
Yeah.
So if you're in The Witcher, which I should get into.
Yeah, you should get into it.
I should get into it because I got Witcher 1 for free when it was for free a few weeks ago on GOG. And then Witcher 2 I got when it was on sale like a week or two ago for like $2 or something. I haven't played any of them yet, but I'll probably get this Witcher 3 for $10.
And that's the thing about like Game of the Year editions. Half the games again have never won a Game of the Year award from like anything, except maybe they'll make up a small magazine just for it. Witcher 3 actually did win like a couple Game of the Year things. It deserves that title when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
But what you'll notice if you start from the beginning and play through is that while the combat does kind of steadily progress, all three of the games are drastically different from each other. And that's because 1 and 2 a lot closer to each other than 3. They're kind of moving towards the image of The Witcher that we have now. In the first one, Geralt actually kind of sounds and acts like Elric of Melibone, which, if anybody knows the history, The Witcher is heavily influenced, if not ripping directly off of Elric of Melibone. But then as you get to the third one, he starts to be built with like the stature and character that everybody's used to now if they've seen like the Cavill Netflix Witcher series. And it's not so bad if you play him in order. But if you were to like play the recent one and then go back and play the first one, it would be very disorienting.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, it's in The Witcher 4, it's just going to be Henry Cavill.
yeah, I think it's just going to be exactly Henry Cavill. Like, that's what they're going to do.
Probably.
Especially with the way graphics and editors are getting, they'll just like do a scan of him and then just impose it onto a model. It'll be actually just Henry Cavill in there.
Yeah.
Which I don't hate. A lot of people complain. I like it. I like that they actually did the work of differentiating him from the character. Right? And I don't want just a copy of Elric of Melibone, even if that's what the character in the novel basically is. It's cool that he's his own thing now.
Yeah.
But we got a lot of sales.
Yeah. Can I mention the other two things?
Yeah, I'm letting you go.
Recently, so yeah, I have a number of things in my wish list. I put games in my wish list for the main purpose of being informed because it's cool. Both Steam and Nintendo send you an email whenever something's on sale.
Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah. So 2 things that I bought this week. Because they went on sale, and as far as I know, they still are Steins Gate.
Oh, nice.
Is on sale for 50% off, so I nabbed that, $15. I probably should have. Oh, I just noticed there's a bundle, Steins Gate 0, which I guess is a prequel. You can get that in a bundle for like an extra 75 cents. I imagine I could still get that. Just
I know
like,
that was
hang out.
one of the visual novels I had recommended to you when you were looking into researching that.
Yep, and I put it in my wish list. Sure enough, it's on sale at the moment. Let me take a look. Hold on. Does it say how much longer? Oh, well, all of these are only for the next 16 hours. So Steins Gate is on sale, 50%.
Yeah.
And then the other one was Danganronpa. Trigger Happy Havoc.
Yep.
I also have
technically a visual novel too. It's more like the Ace Attorney games. It is a whodunit kind of thing. It's a murder mystery where you are stuck in a classroom trying to figure out what the hell is going on.
Mm-hmm. And I've actually been watching a Twitch streamer known as Emmy Meadows play it last week or so. So it looks interesting. So that's 60% off. It's only $8. And then I just also noticed that you can get 1, 2, and 3 in a bundle for $18.
No, that's actually a really good deal.
Yeah. That's 70% off if you get it in a bundle. So that's cool. Again, I like how on Steam, if you get something that's in a bundle and then you later decide you want to get the whole bundle, they just charge you the difference.
Yeah.
So
they subtract the price off of it.
So I don't know. So I know nothing about this. Is Trigger Happy Havoc? Is that a good one to start with, or should I go back?
That's the first one.
Oh, that is the first one.
That's the first one, yeah.
Okay.
That's where you start.
It's
not chronologically first, but it's the first one in the series. In another one, there's stuff that happens before, but it's built in the way that you played in that order, because there's spoilers and stuff like that. So.
Oh, and here's a new game that just came out that's not on sale, but I wasn't even expecting it. The Room 4. So if you like puzzle rooms, or if you played Room 1, 2, and 3, the Room 4 just came out 3 days ago. Have you ever played The Room?
No, I have not.
Oh,
I'm assuming it's better than Tommy Wiseau's movie.
Yes, definitely.
Though I would probably play the game if you could mod him into it.
I did not hit her. I did not.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark. No, it's a puzzle room game series where basically you're presented with either some sort of complicated puzzle box, or you're in a room with several puzzles around you, and you're basically trying to escape this room. And then typically in the series, in 1, 2, and 3, like you'll escape a room and you'll get into the next room, and there'll be like another puzzle. And it's just puzzles. You click and try and figure out how you can twist and turn things, and you find a key and put it in the thing and open. It's cool. And I didn't even know they were coming out with a 4th one, so that just came out. So, one of my favorite series, The Room. That's all I have.
That's all you got. Well, I've got some stuff specifically.
I know you got more.
Specifically from Square, and we got like a whole list of stuff that I prompted you beforehand.
Yep.
Yeah. Let me go pull up that one. And Amazon. All of these are on Amazon if you want physical copies of these games. Is partnering with Square for a sale going on right now. Let's see, how long are these lasting? They actually don't have a time on it. So I'm going to say, to be safe, try to get them within a week of hearing this. It could be shorter, could be longer, but we're just going to be safe and say a week. Unlike the sales that you were saying before, I'm going to try to get this up on the audio version as soon as possible, but there's a really good chance that if you're listening to this in the morning or afternoon, the sale is already done. Yeah, sorry, people listening to the audio version later. Well, or even people watching the VOD later. But, so. Oh, Ultimate Doom is on sale for 69% on GOG. That's good. We've got several Square games across 3 different platforms. Nothing for PC, sadly.
Related to that, I think that's because is Doom published under Bethesda?
Yeah. Is there a Bethesda sale going on?
Yeah. GOG is having a Bethesda Publisher Week sale,
okay.
So that's all like a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, it's id, which is a subsidiary of Bethesda.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good to know, too. Everybody go get your Bethesda games on GOG. GOG, despite some of the problems that they're having right now, is still, in my opinion, the better place to get games from because of the lack of DRM. And I fucking hate DRM.
Yeah, I've been getting all those Witcher games on GOG.
So, if you want a physical copy of any of these games for either PS4, Xbox One, or Switch, Amazon is running sales directly from Square Enix, and you can get games as, I think the lowest one here is 13%. I missed it earlier when we were talking, for Nier Automata Game of the Year Edition, or Game of the Yorha Edition. I guess it's supposed to be a play on the words for Game of the Year. I haven't played Nier Automata. I don't know if that's a reference to in the game or if that's just a bad translation. But on PS4, all the way up to, what's the highest sale here? 75% off for Kingdom Hearts 3 on PS4.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all the games include are Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory, which is kind of like Final Fantasy Theatrhythm. It is a rhythm game where you play through songs from the Kingdom Hearts franchise. Kingdom Hearts All-in-One package, Final Fantasy X and X-2 remastered double pack, Final Fantasy 12 Zodiac Age, which the split for that's not even. It's actually cheaper on Xbox One than it is on Switch, but I recommend getting the Switch version because it even has a couple things the Xbox One version doesn't have. It is the definitive version of that game. Trials of Mana, Dragon Quest XI, Echoes of an Exclusive Age, Life is Strange 2, which I personally cannot recommend to anybody. Sorry, but I just can't. Kingdom Hearts 3, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Marvel's Avengers, which I also can't recommend, but I guess if you like Marvel stuff, you might enjoy it. I've watched Buck play quite a bit of it. I already had no interest, but the more I watch him play it, the less and less interest I have in that game. The definitive version of Dragon Quest XI, Echoes of an Exclusive Age, or Elusive Age, I don't know why I say exclusive. Nier Automata Game of the Yorha Edition, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider Definitive Edition. Those are all the games on sale. Consoles vary from game to game.
Yeah, no, there's an article here. I don't know if you can link it. I mean, I could put it in the chat, I suppose.
Yeah, I could drop it in the chat.
If anybody's interested. It has all the links because I found it very difficult to find these.
Yeah, I'll just drop it in the Restream chat and Discord, and it should go everywhere else.
Yeah, but they're all linked directly. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, for some reason, when I searched for these on Amazon, I couldn't find it.
Yeah,
but there is an article that has all the links. If anybody's interested in Square Enix games, physical copies, which I'm actually not a fan of.
I know. I like the Switch physical copies because they don't take up a lot of space. Yeah. They're basically just SD cards. And I don't know, they're just cool. I mean, it's cool just to have a single SD card you can load all your games on as well. Like that is a good alternative, but they also come with these nice little boxes. The Switch boxes don't take up a lot of space, but they still look nice on a shelf and stuff like that. I don't know. If you're into collecting things, they're cool. If you don't care about that, right? I highly recommend Final Fantasy XII Zodiac Age for the Switch. I would still recommend it for the Xbox version. I think they're mostly the same. The Switch might just have like one difference. And as far as I know, the Xbox version may have even patched that difference in because you can do that now. So yeah, I would say pick that up. The PlayStation version has never been updated and is genuinely a worse version of the game, the PS4 one, and it's not on sale anyway. I think the PC version is identical to the PlayStation version, so I can't even really say pick that one up. But the Xbox/Switch version has a trial mode that if you save to the trial mode, it doesn't overwrite your main save. So not only can it use your levels for that, any item you get in it goes back to your main game. As well as features like you can increase the speed of the game up 8 times. You can... Oh, the PlayStation version doesn't have this. You can go talk to Mont Blanc in the clan hall and actually reset your job tree, like your license boards. I don't know why that's not in the PlayStation version if they're going to make you have different jobs for your licenses, but in the Xbox and Nintendo version is there. So why would you play any other version of the game? Or play the original where everybody just has one big license board and can eventually do everything. But you have to go dig out a PlayStation 2 for that. So, a lot of good stuff in that game.
Yeah, I might get those Final Fantasy games, maybe. I mean, they are 50% off. But interesting, so I find the one of the most interesting things on this list is the Kingdom Hearts all-in-one package. So if you are interested in Kingdom Hearts, and it's so confusing to be like, wait a minute, what games do I need to play to get the whole story? This is it. I mean, this comes with 10 games, like I said, all-in-one package. Which obviously not going to be absolutely everything.
Right? Because that's another topic right there that we could talk about. Right, yeah, that's a good segue.
So, yeah, what I've found in my research, because you have to like research this stupid series, is that, I mean, there's like mobile games and there's different versions that they came out with and all this stuff. But from what I've seen, this all-in-one package is like all you need to know to get up to speed to play Kingdom Hearts 3. So if you want to get into it,
I agree with that. Buck says something that I half agree with and don't. Because he says you're still going to be left in the dark even with those 10 games. Yes and no.
Really?
Those 10 games are all you need to know to understand the series. But there are a few things outside of them that you still just won't know that are semi-important to the way the world works and stuff like that. Like, there is a series of 3 light novels that you have to read if you want to understand how, like, certain parts of the background of the universe works and how Kingdom Hearts really even came into existence, because there's a physical entity, a thing that is both a place and an object in Kingdom Hearts called Kingdom Hearts. That's what the games are named after. All the stuff 3 pulled out of its ass out of nowhere. Well, yeah, there's that too, but there's nothing that's going to teach anybody about that stuff. So there's no point in saying you're going to be left in the dark if you don't have those 10 games. I think that's a very inappropriate use of that phrase. You're still going to be confused, I guess, but there's literally nothing that can explain some of the stuff that's going on in 3. It's not like you're missing information. The information does not exist. 3 is a very, very silly game. You know Monty Python and the Holy Grail? And they're like, Camelot! And then it jumps to the song about being in Camelot. And they're like, you know what? In second thought idea, let's not go there. Camelot's a silly place anyway. That's Kingdom Hearts 3. Kingdom Hearts 3 is just a silly place anyway.
Yeah.
But segueing to the topic we were talking about, right? Because that wraps up really nicely. Is the Kingdom Hearts franchise is now coming to PC, which at first, when I first read that title, I was excited. I'm like, yes, because there are games I want to play through again. There are, like, I would love to do on stream or something. I cannot bring myself to actually play through 3. I've only watched it because I just really hate the PlayStation at this point.
I'm actually shocked that it was not already
on
PC.
I am too, with the way the Square does a lot of stuff.
I haven't had a PlayStation since PlayStation 3, so.
Yeah. You actually do not need to play the mobile games to understand almost anything. If you read the light novel, which is a lot easier to play through than Kingdom Hearts Unchained. Because the mobile games, the different information that's in there is just covering some of the same stuff that are in the light novels.
Yeah, there's nothing like a game series where you have to read a novel to really understand it.
Yeah.
That's what I love. It's my favorite thing.
Frickin' Nomura. But, what was I getting at? Yeah, I'm surprised they weren't on PC already as well, because they've been putting most of the Final Fantasy games on PC for a while now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Disney has some reason why it hasn't been on PC yet, or Sony, or what, because the whole series doesn't always go through Sony. There's a lot of stuff that were handheld only. That's a big problem, where console players who are used to everything being on PlayStation, and then you have to jump over to a Nintendo handheld to play some of the games that has very important information. One of them does explain the Keyblade Graveyard. Yeah, but the light novel explains the Keyblade Graveyard too. Yeah,
I was actually quite surprised. I don't know why, but I was surprised. I was looking around, because I've been thinking about whether or not I'm going to play all the Final Fantasies up to 15. And I was actually surprised to find that Final Fantasy 13, 13.2, and 13.3
are on Steam.
Are all on Steam.
Yeah.
Because I actually had all 3 of those on PlayStation 3.
I have them on Steam. I haven't played them on Steam since I've gotten them, but I have them.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why I was surprised, because, I wasn't surprised that Final Fantasy 15 was on Steam. But, I guess because I only ever played them on PlayStation, I just assumed they were only on PlayStation.
Yeah. But it was funny, 7 was on PC back in the day. Like, when 7 was new, there was a PC version of the game. And that's actually the port that everything uses now for 7, because they lost the data for the original PlayStation version of it. So there's, minis in it that don't loop properly because it's the PC version.
Yeah. Well, I remember complaints, are there still bugs in the PC version?
Oh, yeah. You can get them modded to be fixed, but there's still bugs.
I remember hearing that, because I had Final Fantasy VII. I bought it originally on PlayStation 1 when it came out, and I remember hearing that the PC version was crap.
Yeah.
So
to the point, though, I was excited about that headline until you finish reading it.
Oh.
And they're coming to PC as an Epic Store exclusive.
Oh, shit. Oh, yeah. You told me that.
I'm not a big fan of the Epic Store.
Uh...
And all the games are going to be full price, too. Right? I can understand Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind being full price. I can understand Melody of Memories being full price, because it is still it's a very new game. Both of those are still fairly new. I don't get how Remix 1.5, Remix 2.5, and Final Mix 2.8, which is supposed to be like the final stuff added before 3 was coming out for you to really get into it. I don't understand how any of those 3 games are full price. Now, it's what will confuse people listening at home. Remix 1.5, 2.5, and Final Mix 2.8 all contain those other 9 games that Marsupial was talking about that you need to understand Kingdom Hearts before 3. They've got 1 and 2 in there, the final mix versions. It's got like Birth by Sleep in there. It's got Chain of Memories in there. All of them are in there, so you can just get those packs and it would have everything. But you have to play it through the fucking Epic Store. And you have to pay full price for each of them. It's ridiculous.
Okay. Can you explain something else?
Yeah.
I see that I kind of glossed over this, but apparently Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory is available on Switch, and that's one of the games that's on sale.
Yeah.
Is that a bunch of different games, or is that one game?
It's one game. It is a rhythm game.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
That's what I was talking about at the beginning. It's if you've ever seen Final Fantasy Theater Rhythm, it's like a highly produced version of that, where you have like Sora walking down a lane, and whatever his 2 partners are walking down a lane too, and you have to hit buttons in rhythm as the music goes through. It's probably a fun game. Like, I really enjoy Theater Rhythm. You do not need to play it to understand the franchise, though I did hear that there was a thing or 2 in there that do explain facets of the world. That's one of the things about Kingdom Hearts is Nomura is really bad about expanding the lore of the world inside games without restricting important information to it. Like, he can't distinguish between what lore is important or not. So you'll get something that's like a crucial, critical piece of information in Kingdom Hearts,
Melody of Memory.
356 over 2, which is a DS game. There'll be like a critical piece of information to understanding what's going on in Kingdom Hearts 2, which you should have been able to understand everything in that game just playing through Kingdom Hearts 2, and be like, why? Why did you put that in there?
I guess the box threw me off when I was looking at the box of Melody of Memory. It makes it looks very similar to the all-in-one box, and so I was like, oh, is this like an all-in-one as well? But no.
Yeah. I'm gonna quickly explain the Kingdom Hearts franchise to people listening so they can understand how confusing it is. I'm gonna try to do this as streamlined as possible. Because the first game in the series chronologically is not Kingdom Hearts 1. This is the first point that's going to confuse everybody here. If you have any questions while I'm doing this, Marsupial, feel free to stop me and ask.
Oh, I can't believe you're here. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. We've got time. So you start with Kingdom Hearts 1, where you have Sora.
I've heard all this and I don't understand it. So go ahead.
I'm just gonna break it down really fast, right? So you start off with Kingdom Hearts 1, where you have Sora and his friends on an island. They don't live on the island. The island is actually just off the shore from where they actually live. But they're on an island and they're thinking of sailing out. And all of a sudden, they get attacked by these monsters called Heartless as they're trying to engulf their world, and that's what the Heartless do. The darkness engulfs everybody's world. Sora falls into a gate in which he has to fight his own inner darkness and gets a Keyblade out of it. From that point, he meets Donald and Goofy and a bunch of Final Fantasy people who traverse town and go from world to world, using the Keyblade to seal away the darkness and opening up these worlds, until he fights the final boss, which is a Heartless version of somebody important in the past. That you don't know who that is yet, but he's calling himself Ansem the Wise at this point. His actual name is Xehanort. Kingdom Hearts 2 is not the next game in the series, even though it's got the number 2 there. The next game is Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, which happened on the Game Boy first, but there's also a better PlayStation version that you can play in 3D. During this game, Sora and his friend Riku, who was a rival antagonist in the previous one, are both stuck basically inside a dream version of the castle, trying to make their way through these memories of the previous game, in which you collect cards, run through everything. Sorry. Your comment distracted me. Yeah, you run through everything, and you have to fight these organization members of the Organization 13 that you meet in 2. If you did not play Chain of Memories, you're wondering where the fuck did the Organization 13 come from, and where did half the members go before you met them? After Chain of Memories, we actually don't get to Kingdom Hearts 2 yet either, because another game that came out after Kingdom Hearts 2 is called Kingdom Hearts 356 Over 2, which follows Roxas, who will be important at the beginning of 2. Roxas is a nobody created from when Sora was a Heartless at the end of Kingdom Hearts 1. And Roxas joined...
365 Over 2?
Yeah, I think it's 365 or 3 whatever it is. Over 2. It's like a year. And Roxas joins the Organization 13 and has to help them during the time that Sora's going through the whole Chain of Memories thing, because he actually has a part of Sora in him. And it turns out that there's this other nobody that was created from when Sora's heart touched his friend Kairi and became all heartless. So they both created a nobody together. So these two prepubescent kids basically had a child in this way, who ends up becoming the bad guy. I know, it's very weird. It's like, it's not an actual child, but it's like this existential thing they created. And you have to kill this out-of-control monstrosity to lead up to Kingdom Hearts 2. Don't worry, though, it's not the last time you see Xion in the series. Now we're finally at Kingdom Hearts 2, where Roxas got rid of his memory at the end of 356 Over 2, and is living life as an everyday kid, like a teenager, in this Twilight Town that doesn't actually exist. You're in a data version of it. And you have to go and figure out who you are again to meet up with Sora so you can give his powers back to him by the time he wakes up from his dream in Chain of Memories. Now, Sora rejoins up with Donald and Goofy, figures out that there's these things called nobodies that if you played the games in chronological order, you already know about by now, and has to redo his whole traverse across the worlds. Instead of wiping out Heartless now, taking care of the nobodies. The thing about the worlds of Kingdom Hearts, they're called worlds, you're on a planet, they're all entire universes, so you're actually jumping around a multiverse in this sea between universes. I'm not going to get into the scaling of Kingdom Hearts, but it is ridiculous, and it would probably confuse you for even more than the story if I tried to explain everything that's going on there. At the end of Kingdom Hearts 2, you end up fighting the nobody version of the Heartless final boss that you fought in the first Kingdom Hearts, because he is trying to activate Kingdom Hearts and use its power to become whole again, because nobodies technically don't exist. Yeah, there are still Heartless, but the nobodies are more important at this point. In fact, the nobodies want to use the Heartless because every time a Heartless dies, their heart goes to Kingdom Hearts and gives it more power, which is what the nobody wants to be able to make himself a thing, a somebody. All the nobodies really just want to be somebodies at this point.
You're making Flit suicidal, but go on.
Yes. So, after Kingdom Hearts 2, the next game that comes out is, chronologically, the first game in the series, which for the PlayStation Portable is called, or is it the Vita? I can't remember. Both the portable systems were underwhelming. Called Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. That fast forwards all the way to the beginning of the series, in which you actually start to find out where the Keyblades come from, how the Heartless came into being in the first place, and that there's this great Keyblade war that is going on. And you find these Keyblade Masters that are, Ven's not a master yet. He's kind of like Anakin Skywalker in this way. But Ven, Aqua, and Terra, who are all students who do this trial. 2 of them pass, 1 of them doesn't. And then they have to go in a similar trek, world by world, solving the problem with these figments that show up. all the time finding out that there's actually one of the masters who was there with them during the trial, Xehanort, is the one that's causing these problems, and this is the first time you meet the actual real bad guy from the series. At the end of the series, or at the end of Birth by Sleep, the 3 protagonists that you end up meeting are all fucked. Right? Ven gets possessed and creates the actual Keyblade, but it's spelt like the Greek symbol key, because it's 2 Keyblades formed together. And he has to be broken apart and separated for everybody's sake. And in the process of separating him from his darkness, Aqua gets thrown into the realm of darkness, and Terra gets taken over by Xehanort, and which is why he looks like the Heartless that you meet at the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 1. Right before any of that happened, each one of the 3 had touched the 3 main characters as younger kids, and that's why they have the Keyblade powers in the first place. So, if anybody's ever wondering how these guys got their weapons, they explain it in another game that takes place before the first game, but came out years later. After that, there's another game for the DS called Recoded that tries to bridge the gap. Honestly, you can skip Recoded. There is no important amount of information that happens in that game whatsoever. It acts like there's important information in there, but all of it can be thrown to the side. Yeah. And then you skip to Dream Drop Distance. Which Dream Drop Distance, Sora and Riku have to prepare for Kingdom Hearts 3 because they're not strong enough. So what they do is... Yes, Touch Kids. Kingdom Hearts is a very weird franchise. And they have to go into the dream world to train. Kind of like a hyperbolic time chamber type thing. To become even stronger. It's kind of in some way the same as Chain of Memories, except they're not being thrown into it. They're actively, like, consciously going into this dream world to become even stronger. Yep, boop, you should be the next protagonist. That's basically what happened. They didn't know that's what happened, but that's basically what happened. And they spend all this time in the dreams conquering their own like fears and stuff like that. Riku has to reconfront the Heartless version of like Xehanort or whatever. Sora has to reconfront Xemnas, which was the nobody version. And then after they do that, we're finally at Kingdom Hearts 3, where if you thought anything didn't make sense at this point, what little sense it has just get thrown out the window whatsoever, because Kingdom Hearts 3 was in development for so long that they had to change the script, and a lot of the things that were supposed to make sense were just thrown out the window. Because the organization that was defeated in 2 all come back, because some of the somebody versions of these nobodies decided they wanted to be nobodies again and rejoin the organization. Xion, the girl that was kind of like the existential child of Sora and Kairi, who you killed, also comes back. And at least she's not a bad guy this time, but she is. God, Kingdom Hearts 3 is just... I think this is where my explanation's going to stop, because I don't even know if I can wrap my head around Kingdom Hearts 3. Because everybody's got something to do, and none of it makes any sense. But by the end, Sora, who basically lost all of his power, gains it all back again, and it becomes like 100 times stronger than he was. Actually, that's a lowball number. Yeah, there are 4 versions of Xehanort in the organization. That is a minefield of its own to jump around. And Sora basically loses his power, gains several, actually probably thousands of times more of it back by the end, and has to fight the final version of Xehanort, the actual true version of him, who at this point is threatening all of existence, like the multiverse itself that connects all of these universes. And after he defeats him, Sora fades away, all Thanos style, from existence. And then the Remind DLC comes. That is pointless. And that's Kingdom Hearts. In a nutshell. It took me, 10 minutes to say that?
I guess. Like I said, I have watched like hour-long videos explaining that in far more detail, and I still don't understand any of it. So.
Yeah. I mean, I could explain everything in really high detail, but it would take several hours to do.
Yeah, there's already videos out there that do that if anybody's interested. But like I said, I have tried watching them, and I actually paid attention. And I think I understood at the time, but then I completely forgot, and I just don't understand it.
Yeah, it's somehow more confusing than Animorphs.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those games where I feel like maybe if I'd gotten into it at the beginning, I'd be into it, but I just can't get into it anymore. So I will never be interested in it. It's similar to, gosh, I can't even think of. I don't know. I even like the early Elder Scrolls games. I've tried playing like Morrowind and Oblivion, and I'm like, nah. If I had played these when they first came out, I'm sure I'd have fond memories of them. But now I can't get into it.
Well, one of the big problems with Kingdom Hearts is it's really popular because it attracts two different types of audiences, but also it fucks with two different types of audiences. Like, it does not work very well for either one, because it attracts the Final Fantasy audience and attracts the audience of people who like Disney stuff, right? And you don't get to see a lot of the Final Fantasy stuff other than, I guess, the actual main character, Kingdom Hearts, and his friends, Sora, Riku, and Kairi, kind of represent the Final Fantasy side of things. They look like Final Fantasy characters. They're the ones that the mechanics of the world come through. I mean, Donald and Goofy use the Final Fantasy moves, but they use them because, Sora is basically a Final Fantasy character, and that's how the game works. Like, you see Fire and Fira and Firaga and stuff like that throughout the games. Reflect is in the game. Cure is in the game. Those moves that you're used to. The Keyblade user, wielder, master is kind of a class in its own. But you don't get a lot of Final Fantasy outside of mechanics in that. And the couple of the characters that show up. You mostly get Disney. But you get Disney in this setting where you have to view it through the lens of a Final Fantasy game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like...
Isn't it all like an action game? It's not an RPG, right?
Well, it is an RPG. It's just an action RPG. It's not a turn-based RPG. Leveling is heavily... really important. You have to grind in that game. It's easy to grind. It's not like there's a lot of grinding. You don't have to go too much out of your way. But you do have to fight a lot of stuff to level up and grind. It's a traditional RPG in that way. Missions don't give you experience. You only... Yes, it did spoil the ending. But that's because most people are never going to play Kingdom Hearts.
Or if you are, then you probably already have.
Also, plus, you probably still don't understand anything about the ending after me spoiling it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Or the games. I don't think it's possible to spoil Kingdom Hearts. It's too confusing. Yeah, but you it's fighting. Fighting is the only way you level. It's not like newer games where it goes off of the WoW system of quests give you more experience than fighting does. Mm-hmm. It's very much you have to kill things if you want to level up. And you do have to... It's almost like a skill tree. You unlock new abilities and you gain AP. And you could turn them off to get your AP back, but you have to spend AP on your skills to have like different passives and actives equipped to a character at a time. And you do have health, you do have magic. It does go up as you level. It is very much a traditional RPG, just action instead of turn-based.
I need to take a quick bathroom break.
I do too, but I don't want to leave them alone. I'll let you go first.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah. Do I recommend? You did not like the card game one. Yeah, that was Chain of Memories. You still haven't finished the game. I'm sorry, Eagle. You probably didn't know about the Sora part. That's the only thing I'm sorry for, because I don't like spoilers myself. I usually don't like spoiling things for people. Kingdom Hearts is one of those things that I usually find an exception, because even telling people the end, it's like... I'm pretty sure nobody paid attention to half of what I said during that 10-minute period. Is like Kingdom Hearts is one of those things where, I guess, kind of like Dragon Ball and stuff like that, it gets the story gets more frustrating the more you pay attention to it. And if you just like pop it in and play it casually and not don't give a shit, you could get a lot of enjoyment out of the game. I mean, I did enjoy Chain of Memories myself. I think it's one of the weaker ones in the series. It still had a lot of the moves in it that you got in the original game, like Ragnarok, that they took away in 2 and stuff. I wish they brought them back. Yeah, and so many worlds are just the movie events happening without you in the new one. It's kind of like that too in Kingdom Hearts 2 when they introduced Pirates of the Caribbean. Like, they kind of acknowledged you were there, but for the most part, it was like the movie's happening without you. And then they just kind of did that with most of the worlds in Kingdom Hearts 3. It's not like Kingdom Hearts 1 or most of the worlds in 2 where you are an active involvement in what's going on in each of the worlds.
I'm back.
Riku's story in Chain of Memories was better than Sora's. I agree, Eagle. But yeah.
I unfortunately cannot talk about...
Oh, you can't talk about Kingdom Hearts at all. You don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it.
Yeah. Well, my recommendation, before I let you jump onto another topic and I take a restroom break, is I do recommend people play the games. I recommend playing them in release order. And I recommend not paying attention to the story and just enjoying the game for what it is. Because while you're gone, I was comparing it to, like, say, Dragon Ball or whatever. The series and the story becomes more frustrating the more you pay attention to it. But if you just kind of, like, casually go through, enjoy what's happening to you as it's happening, and don't really read too much into what's going on, it's really easy to enjoy those games. The combat's really... Well... It becomes more and more fluid the more the games go on, which is another reason why I say in release order. That way the mechanics are only ever getting better and not going in the opposite direction. They're very enjoyable games. Because they feel like the way an RPG should progress if you were ever going to take it into an action direction. Unlike a lot of other games where they've attempted to make action RPGs, the Mana series is like one of the few exceptions to an action RPG that I can actually make. Like the Seiken Densetsu series. With Sword, Legend, Secret, Children, Trial of Mana. And in many ways, I relate these games to the Mana series. You don't control everybody, you can't switch who you're controlling, you only ever control Sora. But much like in the Mana games, you can kind of like set to a degree how the characters are going to interact, whether you want them to play close or far from you, whether you want them to either act more defensively or more offensively. And With the sole exception that some people's luck, they seem to have a problem with Donald because he never cures people when they want him to. I haven't had this problem, but it's a very common complaint. So I will bring it up for those people's sake. For the most part, characters will act the way you tell them to act.
So when is somebody going to do a redo of Healer parody where it's Donald Duck as the healer?
I have no clue.
Somebody needs to do that right now.
But I think that's a good spot to cut off any segment on Kingdom Hearts, and I'm going to go use the restroom as you figure out what you want to talk about next.
Okay.
And, actually, I'll answer this. Is there a Kingdom Hearts card, no, Final Fantasy card game? Technically, there is. If you get the Final Fantasy Portal app on your phone, you can play, what's the name of it? It's,
Final Fantasy Portal app.
Yeah. The Final Fantasy Portal app has a lot of different things too. It actually lets you play some of the classic games and stuff too. What's it called? Is it Tetra or something? I'm trying to remember the name of it. It started in Final Fantasy VIII. They brought it back in Final Fantasy XI. Triple Triad, that's the name of it, Triple Triad. And they brought it back in 14 as well. In 11, there was a standalone version of the game. And you can still play Triple Triad in 14, but you can play a standalone version of Triple Triad on your phone if you have the Final Fantasy Portal app. I just wanted to answer that before I forget about it.
Didn't know this app existed.
Yeah, it's a good app.
I'm actually amazed at how many Final Fantasy games I have apparently bought for iOS.
Yeah.
I don't have them actually installed on my phone, but I've apparently already bought them.
Yeah. Okay. You figure out something else to talk about. I'll be back.
All right. See ya. So while he's gone and I'm installing the Final Fantasy Portal app, which I find fascinating. Let's see, the Snyder Cut Justice League teaser trailer dropped today, or at least the first official trailer dropped today, and I want to know, is it really going to be in 5.3? Because that's going to bother the hell out of me. I just found out about that a couple days ago. I haven't really been paying attention too much. In fact, when I heard that, I guess Snyder was talking about something dropping today, I thought the whole movie was dropping today. So I found out, I guess the hard way, that, oh, no, it's just a trailer. And apparently it's in 4.3, which is crazy. The one that confirmed Leto is the Joker in it. That's correct. Mods are away, post noodles. Yes, indeed. So yeah, I watched the trailer. I found it good. I mean, I guess it's going to be hard for it to be like spectacularly different from the original Justice League, because even though it's really, really a lot longer, I don't know. It's hard for me to decide whether it's going to be that much better. I mean, the trailer looks awesome, but the original Justice League trailers, I think, look pretty awesome. I think it could be good. Fuck the GMT Euromod. No. Is GMT on D Live now?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't have mods on D Live. I don't know if can you put mods on D Live? I'd assume you could.
Oh, I don't know. I think. I don't know what mods can do on D Live. I assume they can time people out and stuff. So I was talking about the Justice League trailer. Is this movie going to be in 4.3?
I don't know.
Like, someone said that on a post on Twitter, and I was like, that's weird. Is that what they meant? Maybe they meant 16.9. And then I saw the trailer, and sure enough, it was in 4.3, and I'm like, what the fuck?
That was the real secret to the Snyder Cut.
That is going to bother me. I mean, yeah, I don't like the bars on the side. I would prefer bars on.
I'm gonna film a movie entirely in 3:4, so even if you go watch it on a CRT TV, there's gonna be bars on both sides.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. So I don't know. Did you watch the trailer?
No, I didn't, because I have absolutely no interest in it whatsoever. Because you're like, oh, the Snyder Cut, the Snyder Cut. It's like, dude, there's absolutely nothing that can save that movie. It has nothing to do with the director or the cut. The premise of everything in it is already awful. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. I can't imagine that they could make it like spectacularly different from the original. But I'm interested. I want to watch it. I want to see if it's any better, I guess. More useless scenes that don't change anything, but people will spend money on it anyway.
Yeah.
DMT says she's waiting for the long play VHS.
Well, it's kind of like, my opinion about it is the same opinion I had about Sonic the Hedgehog, right? It's when people are like, oh, look how horrible Sonic is. But they fixed it, so now we have to go support the movie because they listen to the internet. And I'm just like, the way Sonic looked was not my primary problem with this movie. It didn't change anything, as far as I'm concerned. The movie looked awful regardless. And that's my opinion of the Snyder Cut. It's like, listen, I don't think there is literally anything he could do to recut this movie or add new scenes that would actually make it a viable story in my, I have zero faith in this.
To me, it's like, okay, it's got characters I'm interested in. It doesn't look, I'm not going to see it multiple times. Certainly not going to pay to see it multiple times. I haven't even decided whether I'm going to pay for a month of HBO Max just to see it, or if I'm going to wait to see it in other creative ways. But it doesn't look like, and frankly, the original version wasn't like it wasn't like a Ghostbusters 2016 dumpster fire. It wasn't a Captain Marvel dumpster fire. So, I mean, yeah, it's nothing special, but I didn't think Justice League was like absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even want to watch it horrible. Like, I've seen it a couple of times, and it's like, turn off my brain and it's all right.
Well, it's like with Buck over here saying, right? We watched the director's cut of Batman v Superman, which was supposed to be the better version of the movie. It's the only version we watched. We watched it, like, I didn't watch it when the movie was new. I waited till after the director's cut. He put it on. It's like, sure, let's watch it. And that version was awful. Like, this was supposed to be the better version. This was awful. How bad was the original version? And at that point, while I didn't watch Justice League, I had already zero hope for that movie from watching Batman v Superman.
I don't know that I've seen the director's cut, Batman v Superman. Because I've seen that movie a couple of times, and I think it was always the same, both the same each time I watched it.
What's the point? There's this point where Bruce is a kid because they're trying to show his origin, right? And he's just being lifted through the air by bats. I'm like, that's not how that works. What are you doing, Bruce? Look at me, I'm flying.
Well, I took that as a metaphor. I didn't take that as a literal, like something that happened in his head, sort of.
I don't, dude. I fucking hated that movie. Like, I want the time of my life back that I spent on that movie.
See, I didn't find that to be a horrible movie either. I thought it was kind of like, this is dumb, but it's not terrible.
Bruce Wayne does more flying in that movie than Wonder Woman. That alone is a sin.
Yeah.
And again, like Wonder Woman 1984, like, it was dumb. And frankly, I thought Wonder Woman, the first one, was genuinely good.
They can't give her the power to fly until most of the way through the movie, but she can somehow lasso and swing from lightning bolts.
Yeah.
Oh, I like the first Wonder Woman. I thought that was an okay movie. I gave it like a solid 7 out of 10.
Yeah. I think Wonder Woman 1984, in my opinion, is a worse movie than Justice League.
Yeah.
Frankly.
Well, that makes me want to never watch Wonder Woman 1984.
Yeah,
Oh, you haven't seen it?
No, I haven't.
I hadn't seen the full thing, but I'd seen parts of it, and all I could think of is you took one of the only movies you made that was okay and made a sequel that was horrid dog shit.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. So, I mean, from what you've seen, Buck, would you agree that it was worse than Justice League?
Oh, there's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm interested. Like I said, I'm interested in seeing it. I may even pay for 1 month of HBO Max just to see it.
Oh, if I watch it, I'm not paying for it.
Or I might watch it without paying for it. But I feel like it's not going to be horrid dog shit. I feel like it's going to be okay.
I, for some reason, think it might actually be slightly worse than the original version. I don't think it's going to improve. Like, I don't think it's going to be too much worse. It's going to be about the same. I for some reason, think Snyder's going to make some type of decision that actually drags the value of the movie down slightly.
If it's worse than the original, that would be bad.
Yeah.
That would be bad.
And if so, I'm going to laugh really hard if that's the case.
I mean, a lot of people had genuine complaints about the first movie, and people tried to blame it strictly on Joss Whedon, even though, from what we've seen, Whedon didn't change that much. So I really doubt a version from the guy who's made the previous movies that were worse is going to be much better.
Well, you mean the guy who made Man of Steel and Batman v Superman?
See, I liked Man of Steel. I did not like Batman v Superman.
Yeah, I like Man of Steel as well, but it's like showing the signs of somebody who doesn't understand the points of these characters. And then Batman v Superman cinched that, and then Justice League was basically just, we learned a little bit, but not much.
There was one thing I hated about Man of Steel, though, and that was Papa Kent. I hated the portrayal of Jonathan.
Yeah.
But other than that, I like the movie.
Oh, you're in the perfect situation to use the tornado as an excuse for why you can rip a door off its hinges, but you stay here while I let myself get killed.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense to me. I don't know. I mean, I think that there is a possibility that the time and seeing how the actual original version went, maybe he found a way to improve it. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith. I do like, I agree, Snyder should stick to adapting Ellen more. Having read both the graphic novel and watching the movie, I do like his interpretation of Watchmen.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah.
I mean, I
think the ending's better too.
Maybe this is an extremely low bar, but like, I agreed with we talked about him earlier, James Rolfe's decision not to even review because he didn't want to even go see the Ghostbusters 2016 movie.
Yeah,
I agree with that. That was horrid dog shit, and you could tell from the trailers. This one, I feel like, could be good. I think it's worth giving a watch before rendering judgment. Some movies, I think you can say right off the bat, no way, I'm not even going to see that. I can tell it's terrible.
This is the guy who thought a reasonable explanation for why a woman can say Superman destroyed her village, and then believing it was guys lighting bodies on fire with gasoline.
What?
That was one of the fixes he did for the director's cut for Batman v Superman. Like, you know how all the people that they killed by gunfire, they tried saying that, Superman did that, and people somehow believed it? His way of fixing it was to have them light the bodies on fire with gasoline.
To make it seem like his heat vision had done that.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have much confidence.
Yeah, this is the man who people are thinking is going to have the superior version of this movie.
Yeah. I don't know how it could be much worse.
I mean, the Joker's going to be in it for apparently no reason.
Yeah.
He does look better, though. Like, that I have to agree with. Because they took away, like, the damage tattoo and stuff like that. He's not crazy rapper gangster Joker.
Did they fix the goddamn Superman lip?
Oh, I don't know. Probably not.
Oh God.
From what I heard, no. They did not change the CGI on Cavill's face at all. And all the added scenes were ones they already filmed while he still had the mustache. So there's probably going to be even more horrid Superman lip sync.
Oh. I mean, I've seen people with like cheap software fix it better than that.
Yeah. Hollywood's a dumpster fire.
Yeah. What is John Diller talking about? I saw on Indiegogo or Kickstarter or some such site had a breakthrough revolutionary tech for a video game shooter gun.
I don't know. I have no clue what he's talking about there.
Is that like a light gun? Is that Mrs. Dillard?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
R. Dillard? Well,
Her
hello.
name indeed starts with an R.
And Timothy Olsen. I don't know that. I don't know if I can remember what her first name is, but apparently it starts with an R. Well, hello, welcome. So anyway, we are coming up to the end. So did you want to talk about? Wait, we've got two more topics to talk about.
We do have more topics that we could talk about. We don't have to talk about any of them.
I guess not.
I picked a lot of stuff so we could fill time. And unlike previous weeks, we actually had a lot of things to pick up from.
I know. Well, did you want to talk about WandaVision and or the role-playing game?
We could talk about WandaVision real quick.
All right. So we watched the latest WandaVision.
I enjoyed this episode more.
What's that?
I said I enjoyed this episode more.
Oh yeah. It was interesting. Yeah. It was a bit disturbing, to be honest. It was like, I don't know what it was like. It's hard to describe. Like, frankly, so Vision apparently has totally broken out of the spell, right?
Well,
and
I don't think he was ever in the spell. I think he was just complying with everything because he has no memory.
Right.
And then he's now aware that something's off.
Yeah. So he goes off to investigate. Yeah, I guess you're right. Because like even from the beginning, he was like at work and he was like, "What do we do here?" But yeah, I guess we've definitively figured out that he has no memory because he talked to what's her name, the witch woman, the neighbor, and he was like, "What's the Avengers?" But yeah, I found it disturbing that people on the edge of this town are like frozen in place. Like, are they starving to death?
I think I brought that up too. It's like, well, here's the thing. She brought somebody back from the dead. There's two people alive that shouldn't be. Right? And you can even say, well, Pietro, who did show up in the episode, was a recast, but he has memories of the other Pietro. You're talking about being shot in the street and stuff like that, right? So,
yeah.
There's two people alive that shouldn't be. If she can bring people back from the dead in there, and you did see Vision fall apart the second he left the field, then does anybody need sustenance inside there? Are they all being kept alive because of Wanda's power or whatever?
Yeah, but I mean, even if they're not going to die, are they like still experiencing incredible thirst and hunger? That's what bothered me.
Yeah, I think what's really going on is everybody is experiencing an existential crisis in there, because they're effectively just dolls, except for the times where, say, Vision had brought them out of the trance.
Yeah, but it's apparent that they are conscious.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're not piloting their own body.
Yeah. So they had it's almost like they have, Alzheimer's, or not Alzheimer's, but I don't know, one of these diseases where their mind works perfectly, but they can't control their body, which is horrifying to me. That is absolutely horrifying prospect.
Yeah. They're like dolls at the moment. And if their body was a car,
paralysis.
They're just they're sitting in the back seat of the car while somebody else is driving.
Yeah. So he wakes up Agnes. I got the name Agnes, who may be the comic character Agatha Harkness, I guess.
I mean, it would make sense. She did used to babysit her kids.
Yeah.
And that is kind of what she's doing in the show right now.
Yeah, so she was frozen in her car near the edge of the town, and he woke her up, and she mentioned the Avengers, and he had no idea what she was talking about. And then, she started to go into a laughing fit, like she's clearly losing her mind. And then he put her back to normal, or he can apparently break people free of the control and then put them back under.
Because of the Mind Stone or whatever. Because while they're in there, it does seem like the, I guess, fake version of the Mind Stone or whatever, the version that's in his head, is still functioning as the Mind Stone in this false reality.
Pietro did have a brief moment where he turned into zombie Pietro.
Yeah. I did like the episode itself, though, like the sitcom-y part.
Oh yeah, we forgot about that. So you want to mention that?
Yeah. So it's a Halloween episode. That's like the whole thing going on. So all three of them, Vision, Wanda, and Pietro, are wearing classic versions of their outfits that are dumbed down to look like cheap Halloween outfits. Slightly less cheap for Wanda's. She looks smoking in it, but they all look like classic versions of themselves. And even the kids, one of the kids looked like Wiccan, and the other one just kind of matched Pietro's outfit because he's been taking.
Well, that's because he's Speed, and he's literally just Quicksilver Jr.
Did he have a slightly miscolored outfit though?
He had a silver and green outfit for most of his run.
Yeah. Well, they didn't give him his outfit. They just literally gave him a copy of Pietro's. Yeah. That was the part that was throwing me off. And yeah, so it's a Halloween episode, and they kind of made it like Malcolm in the Middle. Even the intro, they had kind of like a punkish kind of song. The names popped up in the same way. One of the kids was doing like narration to the camera the way Malcolm was, which to me felt like a jump. I really like Malcolm in the Middle, but Malcolm in the Middle came out in the year 2000, so it kind of felt like it skipped right over the 90s.
Okay.
So I guess I don't know. What were they going to do in the 90s? Married with Children or something like that?
Yeah. Or something.
But I liked it. If the whole show was like this, I would enjoy the show, because I like those type of sitcoms. The humor in it was fine. I really liked the way the actor for Pietro was in this, and the way they let his character be the goof-off version that he was in X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
And the hijinks of like, hey, I'm gonna like quadruple your candy intake, and he starts taking the kids and running them around, stealing everything. And there's that joke where the dude who's in charge of the neighborhood watch is saying the things that are happening, but like a second before it happened. So like he would say it, and then you would see them running around smashing the pumpkins and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. In a very sitcom-y way.
But,
It was funny, I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was like, now there's silly string on everyone.
Yeah. If this show were a totally original IP, would anyone be interested in watching it? If there was an original IP that functioned like the sitcom part of this show, right? Let's take away all the shield, sword-related stuff that's going on in the background, the actual bigger plot that they're slowly trying to get to over the course of this season, and focus like, if this episode were an original IP about a super family having to blend in with suburbia with this sitcom-y style of humor, I would actually watch a whole show that's like that.
Yeah, that's where I was wishing, and I'm guessing that there's just going to be very, very few episodes this season. But like, if it had been like a 50 episode season, and they'd done like 10 episodes where they're in the 50s, 10 episodes where in the 60s, I would have loved that.
Yeah.
I would have absolutely loved that. Like, they could have gone, like, now it's a shame because like this last episode, I wanted to see more of the Malcolm in the Middle, kind of episode.
But there's way too much sword stuff.
Yeah. I wish they hadn't jumped so quickly to, now we're going to talk about the MCU.
Yeah. And Flit says, I ask because people talk about it, and nobody really seems to care about the show. They're only watching it for the characters that show up. And the whole appeal is referential. For a lot of people it is, and that's actually probably my disappointment with this show, because I'm not enjoying that half of things. Like, this is Darcy showing up now, or here's a character from the comics that are showing up, or this character from the previous shows or movies. I am actually enjoying the humor of the sitcom portion. That's my favorite portion of this show. I think for you, for the most part, was the same thing too.
The Quicksilver part sounds good to me, but it's kind of like slightly leaving a bad taste in my mouth because of the referential thing. If this guy has the memory of the old MCU Quicksilver, how does it make sense that he's acting like the X-Men Days of Future Past and stuff Quicksilver?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if it was just, Quicksilver's here, it's just, like Wanda was messing with things and ended up bringing a version of him that didn't originally start here.
Doesn't remember. Okay? Nobody remembers anything from before the field. He remembers being shot.
Yeah, but I thought you said there was...
Let me explain. He remembers being shot. And then Wanda calling him, and then he showed up there. That's all he remembers. He doesn't remember, like, Ultron or anything like that. He just remembers being shot. And they have some fake memories that even he brought in of, like, their life back in Sokovia and stuff before their parents left, or, died, about trick-or-treating and everything. He doesn't really know.
What was up with the Yo Magic yogurt commercial where the kid died on the desert island? That was bizarre.
I didn't get the reference to that because all the commercials are references to their life and stuff like that, and I haven't been paying that much attention. It was just a very, very 90s commercial, though. Like, I remember seeing commercials like that growing up.
Only very dark. Like, it feels like it's almost a reference to what was happening, where people are perhaps starving to death on the corner of the edges of the town. I don't know. That was really strange. That was by far the strangest commercial that they showed.
But yeah, no, I get your complaint, Buck, right? The problem is, none of them are quite acting the way that they're acting like. Because none of them have memories of anything that doesn't have to do with this town.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So then she decided to expand Westview.
yeah. So Vision made it out of the field, and then he started falling apart because the field is what's keeping him alive, basically. And to save him, because she was on the other side of town, she just pushed the field farther so that he was back in it again.
Mm-hmm.
Which even captured some other people. You saw the whole sword base turning into a circus and everybody becoming clowns and stuff like that. And there was a used car
Darcy's
lot.
now in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Darcy got sucked in.
Yeah, well, we didn't actually see what happened to her, though. Like, we don't know what she became. I guess they're trying to leave that as, like, a cliffhanger type situation.
Yeah.
Like, what's she going to be in the new world?
Yeah.
And the guy who was in charge of the situation, and like a couple of his units, a couple of his soldiers, and Monica and the FBI guy whose name I forget are like the only people that didn't get sucked in. They managed to like drive away, and that's kind of where they leave you off for the episode.
They did mention something about Monica's
DNA.
I don't know, molecules or DNA being changed.
Yeah, her molecular structure was like permanently altered from going into the field.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Well, you know, they're trying to set up for her to be Photon. That's what they're going to do.
Well, how is that setting her up to be Photon? Explain that.
Everyone else goes into this field and is completely unaffected if they come out, but you came out with superpowers.
Yeah, it's going to give her superpowers of some sort.
Yeah, they're probably going to have some BS about her, like, close proximity to, like, Captain Marvel for most of her life, and then interacting with the field and having direct interaction with both two different Infinity Stones or some bullshit like that.
I mean, half the characters added recently just got their powers from Infinity Stones for the hell of it. Wanda and Pietro got their powers from an Infinity Stone. Carol's powers came from an Infinity Stone now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I see, that's my other problem too, is like, I like the concept of all this sitcom stuff. I'm kind of just done with the MCU, and I think that's why the stuff that aren't directly the sitcom, I'm having a hard time giving a shit about it.
Yeah.
Heck, for all we know, Jane Foster is going to be female Thor because having the Aether inside of her for a day or so gave her enough power to be Thor.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, Flit says, never seen the show, but the impression I get is that everyone is trying really hard to convince themselves the show is great, but no one can ever explain why. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that the parts that we've liked has been diminishing over time, and so it's a shame because it started out really strong. Exactly, I thought
why I like those parts too.
Mm-hmm.
I find them funny.
Seem to start out really strong, and then it's getting weaker and weaker the more they start to just rely on references and MCU stuff, and basically it's turning into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah. Well, that's another... even the parts I like, there's a thing about it I dislike, right? And it's going back to like how it would be nice to have a couple, or even up to 10 episodes per the decade, because I like the different sitcom-y parts for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't get to spend a lot of time in any of them. Like,
Yeah.
I was really enjoying it when we had the magic show section. It would be nice to have more of specifically that sitcom. I really liked the Malcolm in the Middle one. It would have been nice to have more specifically that. And as Diller even says, you could just watch Malcolm in the Middle. It is a better show. It is a better show. I've seen Malcolm in the Middle like, I don't know, 5 times now. I'll watch it again sometime. Maybe in the next couple of years. It'd be nice to have more shows that are like that, though.
And we hardly got any of the Family Ties 80s version.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember anything that happened, in the show. In the show, inside the show.
Yeah, it was very jumpy because of that, too. That was
Yeah.
the one where they went from babies aging all the way to, like, 10.
Yeah,
puppy and
okay,
stuff.
so they got a dog.
Yeah. No, I get what you mean, Flint. He says, to be clear, he's not saying people here are doing that, just in general. And, well, that's because even the people who like it, they like it for different reasons. And I do think a lot of it has to do with what you said, where they're just looking to see what shows up. And they're watching it for the same reason a lot of them watched Captain Marvel, or why they might watch, say, Ant-Man, even if they don't inherently have an interest in watching Ant-Man from the trailer. They know it has to do with this world that they've sunk a lot of energy into, and they want to see what's going to happen next, even if they don't necessarily, enjoy that particular part of it. They can't be left out on the information. They feel like they're missing, right? As opposed to you and I who genuinely like the sitcom portion.
Mm-hmm. I find it in general so far. And again, this is a very low bar. I find it not horrible.
Not horrible, yeah.
But
I don't say that about a lot of things. I would agree, though. I find it not horrible. It's kind of just meh in general.
Yeah, and frankly, just not worth continuing or starting a Disney Plus account for, certainly.
Can't wait for the Malcolm in the Middle gritty reboot.
Malcolm in the Middle was the gritty reboot.
Yeah, dude, it was actually a pretty gritty show if you go back and watch it. It was one of the shows that could really only exist because Married with Children existed before it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was great. I love Malcolm in the Middle. It was very punk. It had that feeling to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you watch much Malcolm in the Middle?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I think I watched it. Yeah, I mean, I watched it when it came out.
So there's kind of
Pretty
like a point that splits the show. And I like the whole show, but people tend to like one half more than the other. Did you prefer it back when Francis was still in military school, or after he moved to Alaska?
Oh.
That's kind of the split in the show.
Yeah, I liked it better when he was in military school.
Same.
Yeah. I forgot about that. Totally forgot about that. But yeah, after he moves to Alaska, it becomes more contrived. It's just like, why are we even following this character anymore?
Yeah.
So.
And even like in Alaska, it was still kind of fine until he moved in with his wife. And then that whole story side just kind of fell through.
I'm not even sure I remember that part. I might have stopped watching it by then.
Like when it was him and his buddy from military school first in Alaska, it was okay. But like I just stopped caring after he got married and moved in with his wife.
See, if they could have, God, such a missed opportunity. They could have done a proper several Malcolm in the Middle type episodes where that part of it they could have done. They didn't do that kind of thing at all. But they could have done that and used that as a means to say what's happening outside of the hex. Right?
Yeah.
Could have done that as part of the episode of being, but they totally, yeah. I mean, that's the problem. Like the early episodes, they did so much of a true beginning to end 1950s, 1960s sitcom episode. Now they're starting it. They do it a little bit for 5 minutes, And then they just like, whatever. We're just, now it's Agents of Shield.
Yeah. And
Like, why
I
even
didn't like Agents of Shield.
What's that?
And then we've talked about this before. I didn't like Agents of Shield.
See, I only liked like the first season, and then after that, I was like, God, it went downhill very quickly.
Yeah.
In my opinion. So anyway.
Yeah. I see Timothy's idea for a gritty reboot for Malcolm. And Malcolm was a middle child that was left alive after the mob killed his family, and now he only wants revenge. He only lives for revenge. No, if they're going to do anything, which this was an episode that actually happened in Malcolm Middle, they would just reboot it as Mallory in the Middle. With girls instead. Which is a funny episode because they actually casted young girls, Lisa Foyles from All That being the one who played Malcolm, to play the three normal siblings. But then, what's his name? It's, I can't remember his first name. It's Danny Masterson's brother, something Masterson. The guy who played Francis just put on a wig and a dress and played the female version of himself. And it was just Lois having a dream that she like, yeah, no, it's better off I didn't have girls. That was a whole episode that happens. There's like I guess an official Rule 63 episode of Malcolm Middle. But they would just do that for the whole series. That if they rebooted it in the modern day. Because, that's how things go now.
Yeah, I don't remember that much detail about Malcolm in the Middle.
I watched it not too long ago. Like I said, I've seen through it like 5 times.
Yeah.
In fact, one time, after me and my brother had moved in together, we were bored and we just saw that Malcolm in the Middle was on Netflix, so we sat down and started binge watching it together.
I've been binge watching iCarly.
That's a good show. I like iCarly.
Yeah,
Especially Spencer. Spencer's a good character.
He's hilarious. He's absolutely hilarious.
And what's her name? Sam.
What's that you got there?
A smoothie. Mind the fact that he's got an ostrich or like an emu behind him.
The question is, how does somebody that dumb manage to get away with that much?
It's a Nickelodeon sitcom, like the dumbest shit happens. But iCarly was a good show.
Yeah, I found it, and if I had to compare it to another show, I found it better than Victorious.
Oh, yeah, by a lot. Like, there's a huge margin there.
Yeah.
But I choose like
orders of magnitude.
Jeanette McCurdy, who played Sam.
Yeah. I didn't like her characters so much. I don't know. I liked Miranda Cosgrove.
I liked it because she was always picking on Freddy. And I found it funny.
Yeah. Well, anyway. Before we're accused of being creepy for watching a show about 13-year-old girls.
Okay. One, I'm not creepy. I was their age when that show came out. Jeanette McCurdy and I are the same age. You're the creepy one here.
Yeah. Well, I was watching it because... Wait, my kids weren't born yet. I don't know why. My wife liked it, okay? She was the one who made me watch it. So, RPG game.
Yeah, we got 10 minutes to talk about that. There's honestly not that much to talk about, though.
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to say was, despite the fact that I died twice, got knocked out twice, I had a great time.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed myself.
Actually going through a dungeon now, like a real legit dungeon. Lots of stairs. I dedicated this dungeon to Shabby. And yeah. So there was a bunch of different fights. You got something that you'd been waiting for a while, almost paranoid-like. Once you guys got through fighting some water elementals and stuff like that, you ended up running into a room with Naga, some water Naga, big snakes with women heads. I think that was the first time you got knocked out. Was in the Naga fight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you didn't get any experience for that. You actually kind of got screwed on experience when it came to that whole session.
Yeah, but like I said, it didn't bother me because I had a great time.
Yeah.
I didn't get totally screwed. I mean, I raised a level because the way that the fights are happening now, each individual enemy gives you experience when they die instead of as like a group.
Yeah, because they're not actually mobs. They're fixed spawns in this dungeon. Everything's a fixed spawn.
Right. So I was still alive during the first two Nagas. I only died on the third before the third one got killed.
Unlike
so
Rick.
I still got experience for the first two. Rick got experience.
Yeah, unlike Rick, who died after the first one.
Yeah. Which it's funny, I'm like realizing like we're not vastly, but some of us are vastly under armored. And I mean, I even feel a bit under armored. Like I could definitely improve, but some people who have like 7 armor or whatever, I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I'm feeling a bit naked with only 37 armor or whatever I've got. Like that.
Well, the thing is, you're not actually under armored for this place though, because
and I'm not supposed to be a tank, but I'm like one of the tankiest people here.
Yeah, because you actually have like tier 3 armor, which is what you're kind of designed to go into this place with, right? Because you could hit up another town, but this is on the way to other places. So I built this with the assumption that anybody going in here probably only has stuff from Hannister or anything they might have found along the way.
Yeah.
But it's so, I mean,
the fact
you might be under Phoenix downed.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm almost trying to tank a bit because everybody else has like no fucking armor. Which is fine. I mean, in some cases, like in Dillard's case, it's absolutely per his character, right?
Yeah. Their fighter just got tankier because you guys gave the silver cloak to him, or silver coat.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, which I've actually got as much armor and magic armor as I did as Rabden before he died, so I'm gonna be able to tank a bit easier now.
Cool.
The real problem, which it didn't seem like it was gonna do a lot of damage to you until you found out the whole gimmick of that character, is when you guys finally stumbled upon the room of the what I called waist high water, but for the shorter characters is kind of like up to their chin, with all the chests in it, and then you opened one of the chests and an entire water troll came out as a trap.
That's right.
And
I don't know how that works in Final Fantasy. They're just like it's like a Harry Potter, tent or something. They just
there's a cloud card just kind of like unfolds.
Hey, since you said you weren't going to use it, can I say what you told me you were going to put in but decided not to?
Oh, yeah. Well, I can just say it, too. I was tempted to put another troll in a chest, right? And I was going to have it be a lock-picked chest where you actually needed lock-picking to open it or to find a key somewhere else in the dungeon. But
I have lock-picking.
Yeah, I know you have lockpicking. I just decided not to do it. It's something I'll put lock chests in later dungeons. This is just supposed to be the first dungeon with stuff like this. I was gonna put a dead water troll in there. Like he had went in the chest to hide, but he's just been in there for too long. And when you open it up, it was gonna be like there's a monster inside, but it's already dead.
Yeah. Yeah, so uh, I've been playing Final Fantasy 1 through 6, maybe beyond, and I'm already up to 4. So I knew, especially, I mean, maybe not in the early levels. I don't think we ran into this sort of thing in any of the early levels yet. But I knew that as you go along, it's more and more likely that you're going to find monsters in chests. So when we got into this room, Rick started opening chests one at a time. And when he got to one thing that would actually be very, very helpful to me, which is an object called an extension, I was like, don't open the next chest until you give me this. And I equip it. Because I knew, I had a feeling, I didn't know, but I had a very, very strong feeling that one of these chests was going to have a monster in it. So I was like, give me that extension. And let me equip it, because that actually doubled the strength of my thunder spell. So
well, you could also see that the way I designed this dungeon, almost regardless of what party's running it, because that's the way I'm designing this whole campaign, is things kind of thematically or technically fit the dungeon itself. So like there was a water ring early on, you found an extension. There's a harpoon in there, and a bunch of water creatures, so a harpoon kind of fits to slaying water creatures. Like the dungeon kind of has like a tight theme to it.
Yeah, which is perfect for Final Fantasy. Yeah, I mean it's kind of funny because I've found it interesting, or I don't know, not really annoying, but kind of, I don't know, I guess I'll just say interesting, that like you'll go into a dungeon and end up casting the exact same spell over and over and over and over and over throughout the entire dungeon. And then you go to a different dungeon and you'll cast a different spell over and over. But because that's just how Final Fantasy works. In a water dungeon, you're going to be casting thunder a zillion times.
Possibly. It depends what you decide to fight. As you know, there are these crocodiles in here that are actually resistant to thunder.
Yeah, in that case, you need to use Blizzard, but yeah, and then you'll go into a fire dungeon, you'll cast Blizzard the whole time, or you go into an undead dungeon and you'll be casting fire the whole time. So,
on the plus side, if we ever run into anything that has overall elemental resistances, you can still use thunder and do normal damage.
True.
As long as he still has the extension on, yeah.
Yeah. And now I have the poison spell, which is also similar to bio, right?
Yeah, it does bio damage. It's like a weaker version of it.
Yeah. It basically, well, it does exactly the same damage as my other elemental spells.
But it also has a chance of poisoning.
Yeah. Plus it's a bio elemental rather than a typical, lightning, fire, ice.
Oh, that one Naga almost killed Rick with bio.
Yeah.
And then the second one did, because he didn't use a potion.
I know, we told him to, and he forgot. And I almost reminded him when it was his turn.
He's like, no, I'd rather attack and then run.
I mean, when he said he was going to attack, I wanted to remind him, but at the same time, you've told us not to interrupt. Plus, we had already told him that, so...
Yeah, at least now with that harpoon, he's not doing no damage to things now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said I wanted to limit the crosstalk, because typically the etiquette in RPGs, like these tabletop things, is when it's somebody's turn, the only two people that should be talking are the game master or dungeon master and the person whose turn it is. And crosstalk can happen if the player whose turn it is or the GM engages with another player and asks them a question. Or if the other player has something directly to say to the player whose turn it is and gets their attention.
Yeah.
But at no point,
I kind of felt like
should players be talking to each other if it's not their turn.
Right. And I kind of felt like, well, we already told him he should probably use a high potion. And I figured he either forgot or decided to not follow our advice, and so be it. So I already said my piece. So if he just wants to do something else, that's fine.
Yeah, I think the main problem is he kept forgetting that everything's resistant to fire in this dungeon. So he just hit it with the axe anyway instead of using Petal Blossom or Jump, which don't use his elemental damage.
Yeah, I kept losing track of a lot of stuff. I was barely awake during that session. So I was losing track of whose turn it was and stuff like that.
Yeah. I understand that. Flit says, Crossfire would like to see minimize people breaking into the middle of an ongoing convo to read messages from the chat. I agree.
Yeah.
I think we should. I can stop doing that.
Yeah, because it's one thing to read chat when you're on a show like this, say like a recording of a podcast or whatever, and you like to incorporate the chat of the people watching, or if you're playing a video game or something. But an RPG is, like I said, it's kind of theater in a way. We're kind of putting on a performance by playing it, and jumping into the chat a lot. An intermission's a great time to do it, maybe at the top of every hour or something. But it just breaks the flow of the game.
Yeah, I hear you. I'll stop doing that.
Rick does it more.
Yeah. Well, we can tell Rick to stop.
Yeah.
Totally understood, Flip.
I can't even check the chat on this channel while we're playing because I'm already... I should probably just take a screenshot of how many things I have open when we're playing, but I've got 15 things open that I'm jumping between to make everything run.
Yeah.
And we're at the end of the show here, so I guess we should probably make some update announcements real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, you assume most.
Yeah, no, I'm not assuming that. I'm just speaking for myself.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he was talking about Rick there when he, not you.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, so next week, right? The normal show is going to be as normal. Actually, let me
On Wednesday.
change it here. Where's the schedule tab? Here we go. Properties. Let me change it. We are moving the Vomitorium back to Saturday. And the amphitheater, which is what I'm using for our RPGs at the moment, could be anything, could be the amphitheater, but right now we're running RPGs, will be on Sunday at the same time. We're switching them around. And yeah, so just so you're not confused, this time on Saturday is when we'll be ending the show. We'll have started 3 hours ago. And on Sunday, we'll be playing our tabletop RPG. I missed the Saturday, or yeah, two, yeah. I kind of missed the Saturday block. It's the prime time block, that and Wednesday, and that's why I had them set up at that. And I think Sunday will overall work better for most of the people involved in our campaign anyway.
Yeah,
So,
Saturday evening and Sunday afternoon makes more sense than Sunday afternoon or Saturday afternoon.
Tim, nothing really happened. We just realized that there's been a lot of schedule conflicts because of the Saturdays things, and just decided to take a poll. Yeah, and just decided to take a poll to see who would be better for, who would be okay with switching it to Sundays, and most of the people that had any opinion on it agreed that Sundays would probably work better.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No, Flint did not get pissed at Marsupial.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's going to be the schedule now. We might run other things on this channel depending on how it goes. So the amphitheater is supposed to just basically for anything that isn't directly involved in the Vomitorium programming or the Hypotium and stuff like that. And we'll see you Wednesday. So we're gonna be here next.
Yep.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Picture yourself on a plane soaring through deep blue sky. Suddenly, you go insane from turmoil and grief, and despair turns your hair into beautifully colored gray. And then you die!